gonna split up this from this and this, and it's not set up for this, so you need tools for that. So let's see. Alright, say something. I'm not sure if we are completely live yet. Say something, guys. Does it? Do you hear, guys, on stream? Nothing? How the fuck is this possible? I literally can see the volume go up. I cannot explain this. I think last time I was on Talking in Stations, actually McCloud had the same. Yeah, you can hear me, but like, obviously it's not a show about me talking to. It's like, it would be dumb as shit, right? Just seeing half the conversation. They can just type, fuck it? No. We just can't hear Discord, yeah. Maybe... Yeah, I'm gonna restart Voicemeeter quick. Alright, try it again, guys. Say something. Where's my IT specialist? Yeah, I need a team like Talking in Stations has, right? Well, they have McCloud doing all the IT stuff, setting it up and all that shit. Guys, you still can't hear them? What the? I cannot explain it. I could even send you a screenshot, like the volume is going up. How's that even? Ooh, I might have an idea actually. I'm just gonna click everything here, fuck it. All the sounds are on. Alright, try it again.
Hello, hello, hello.
Can you hear them now, guys?
Hello.
Wait, can you
Test.
Yes.
mumble? Oh, never
No,
mind.
we got it. Thanks anyway, Randa. Alright, so apparently I had like some recording settings loaded here, and that excludes comms.
Excludes Discord.
Rookie mistake.
Hey, at least I found out, right? At least I got it fixed. I could have been sitting here forever figuring this one out. Alright, so then let me... Where do we start? Like, I explained kind of what the Vertiso is doing. And then you... What were you saying? Oh yeah, your role is a little bit unique, right? You're doing sneaky stuff and such.
I don't describe myself as an FC because I'm not very good at it, basically. I do my bit helping out. Is I guess the TLDR of it.
Yeah, I mean, you still do a lot of stuff that I would count as support FC, right? So at the very least, you're doing that. So I still see it as like FC.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at what I gave my ranking on the Discord image, you'll notice that I gave myself 0 out of 10 for leadership. Because it speaks for itself. I just do my thing and try and find some people crazy enough to go along with my ideas and shout at everyone if it doesn't work and shout at everyone if it does work. That's usually it's usually how it goes.
Well, but the idea... Sorry, what?
Well, I was gonna say Brooks has done more FCing than I have.
Yeah.
Brooks used to be
I was a Bombers Bar FC for a little under a year.
Yeah, so you actually have to explain, like we met the first time yesterday, I think, in local. Yeah. That's some local. We're gonna talk about that later, but like maybe you wanna like tell me like what did you actually see?
I was a Bombers Bar FC, or I started out as like a hunter for Bombers Bar and like kind of got into it that way, and then was FCing for I think about 6 months. I mainly just hunted. It's like what I enjoyed to do, and like that's how I met Vert. After he AWOXed one of my fleets and like 3 of the other fleets that I was on and stuff like that. And then I'd done like some small gang FC and other than that, but it was mainly Bombers Bar, and that's how I got into it.
That sounds like that.
Yeah, so I've had Vert's Titan dropped on me 4 times. and that's how we met.
My old Titan. It's dead
Yeah,
now.
you're all rag.
Oh wait, that's not dead. That's in Vaskrin. But yeah, Vaskrin is actually our newest member, I think. Well, not as of today, until today. It's pretty rare that we recruit an actual member. We have a policy in our corp of if Risky has to learn a new name or if I have to train corp management, then we don't want to recruit any more people. It's too many. That's
get
where
it.
we draw the line. We like to keep it small, but worked with Brooks a lot in the past. Or he actually saved my marshal from getting Von Hold
Yeah, I forgot about that.
in Delve, which was a very exciting, horrible but exciting
Yeah, it was like,
experience.
so it was the first time I'd been watching like flight leader videos and like solo blops videos, and I like ended up buying one, got into it, and like got talking to Vert. We went down to Delve, and it was the first time I like ever jumped my blops into combat, and he was about to get Von Hold, but Von Hold didn't expect the second blop, so we managed to get away.
That's rare that someone's getting away from that
I
guy,
know.
right?
I like my Sin got Von Hold, so
Well, to be fair, we managed to escape Von Hole, and then I lost the marshal to rats like 5 days later. So I'm not sure what would have been worse, lose it to Von Hole or die to rats on the station. Both are pretty embarrassing.
Yeah, maybe we have to explain who Von Hole is, right? Like, so.
Oh, he's a very talented individual that hunts hunters basically. If you hunt the crab, if you hunt the PVE crab, Von Hole hunts you. Not out of I don't think it's to protect the crabs. I just think he likes to hunt the hunters because they usually have very expensive ships. Like my marshal, if he killed my marshal, that would have been a very nice payday for him. Sadly, it died to
just rats.
to rats.
Yeah, I think the guy killed the most AT ships, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it? He got like an imp and a virtuosa in a week or something like that.
Yeah, he's a scary man.
Yeah, he got Baltrum's imp, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Baltrum got caught, and he's like, "Oh, you can see it in his face." And he's not a rich player, right? It's like, I think he's like.
Was that the one that got smart bombed on a gate as he walked to a gate while he was streaming? Or was that someone else?
No, he just straight up got caught. I forgot what it was baiting him. Might have been bombers, right? Obviously, bombers have the advantage; they can decloak and instantly tackle.
Yeah.
I forgot what exactly it was. Right? And then also you could see. Usually, people don't have the what do you call it? The patience in that moment when they can kill that AT ship, they just straight up kill it. But Von Hole, like, he held him with his tunes and then first jumped in a couple dudes and then took a sweet time to kill him, which was like,
you got to admire the patience on that, man. Like, if I've got people sat waiting to kill a super for more than 20 minutes, I find myself apologizing for keeping people waiting. But that guy must sit there for days.
Yeah, well, because while I was in Fry, I worked with him once to kill some legacy blops, and like, he's a weird dude. He just like I sent him the mail like, "Oh, these blops are dropping in Frat space. Do you want to kill him?" And he said, "Yeah." Buy me like a list of this really weird stuff. Bought it, took it to some station that he could dock in, and then sat with a carrier for like 6 hours until they dropped. But like he does that all the time. He's waited like when I was in Bomber's Bar, he waited 2 days with like his own rocks mining. He had 4 smart bombing carriers like cloaked around the rock, so we drop on the rock and he just wipes the fleet.
Yep. But that's what I always say, like when we go hunt, like we're hunting stuff, and not every time, like you can't get home with like a bag full of rock cards or supers even or anything. Like I always say, it's the hunting business, guys. Like, what are you gonna do? But like I can't stretch it, for example, right? People always say it's probably easy to say like, oh yeah, everything is easy with a 200-man kiki blob. Yeah, I mean, first of all, get 200 kikis together, right? That's not an easy task.
That's not a problem for you guys.
For us, I mean, in Euro time zone, it's fairly easy for us. But there's not much to hunt in Euro time zone, to be quite honest. But first of all, you have to get to that point as an alliance, right? Like, Init is fucking old. Like, if you guys wanted to, you wouldn't get 200 people, right?
We've got about, on an average fleet, I think we have about 20 to 30 people in TeamSpeak.
Yeah, so like all I'm saying is, first of all, getting 200 kikis isn't easy. Then you have to get them places. That's not easy. And then there are counters there to counter you, and you can lose them all. But then also on top of it, when you have 200 people, you have a responsibility for their time. I always feel like, right? If you have 200 people and you sit around 3 hours and do nothing, that's 600 hours. Just think about that. That's how I see it, at least, right?
That's a bit. I don't know about. I see what you mean, and I do the same. If I have people, I remember one time in particular, I had I had a character in like the Delve standing fleet, and we were waiting to warp off a faction titan, and I had probably about 30 people in TeamSpeak with dictators, everything sat in position, ready to go. And I think I was apologizing on maybe like a minute by minute basis for keeping people waiting. Plus, I hate it.
It feels bad, right?
Yeah, I hate keeping people waiting. Even if you know, the worst bit is when you know it's worth it, but you can't exactly, especially if it's in like a group where you don't know everyone. You're not going to say what you're doing. You just have to keep saying, "Trust me, it's worth it."
Yeah.
Just hang on. And luckily, I mean, we sat there for 4 hours, and everyone did hang on, and we managed to get. We didn't get a faction titan, but we got one of the Super FC's officer fit Leviathans in a Ragnarok. So I think people were happy about it.
But that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's the thing. You can be sitting around 6 hours and it sucks. But the second you tackle the Titan and you kill it, everything's forgotten, you know? But that's also a problem, though. A lot of times you see like newer FCs, they hang on to that thought, maybe we still catch it. You know what I mean? And then they stretch it way too far.
Yeah.
And then, that's not good, obviously.
But there's different situations where sometimes you're going to, when you're the one setting it up, sometimes you know it's a sure thing. Sometimes you know you're waiting on just one thing to happen that's kind of inevitable, right? But then sometimes it's like, sometimes you just need to know, this ain't happening. I'm wasting everyone's time. And it sucks to stay with standing down. Like, it's the last thing you want to do because you feel like that's wasting people's time more than anything. But it's just the thing you have to do.
I think it's very different as well between like you having, so you got like 200 people in your fleet, like you're obviously, a lot of them don't want to sit around for 6 hours for a kill. Whereas like if it's like our corp, I think there's like 8 of us, like we'll happily sit there for 6 hours for a kill and we just talk on TS.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
If you don't know everyone, it's very different.
Yeah, I mean, and what I meant earlier too was like, so you sit around, it's not necessarily that you can do the math like that. But like that's how I personally see it, the 600 hours. But the thing is also, if you have 6 people there and you wait so and so many hours, or you have 6 people in fleet, you have a responsibility, I feel like, to deliver something. But it's a different story if you have 200 people in fleet, right? You can't, like, I can't kill one Rockon and feel happy if I have 200 people in fleet. I can't. Like, there's probably like a bunch of new guys there that have never like been in a big fleet or whatever, but in general, like, there needs to be more, right? There needs to be a good fight and all that stuff, and people have big expectations, and every time you deliver, you're not making it easier for the next time too, right?
Yeah.
So that's rather what I'm saying. Then it's not simple math, right? It's not like that, but
See, that's why I personally prefer working with a group of, say, 10 people that have 4 or 5 useful ults each. You're not, everyone there knows what they're in for, right? Especially if it's like a group that you've worked with for a long time. Like, you remember when you brought that Kiki feature, Cobble Edge, to kill that Titan?
Which time? The one that you were tackling, and that could have warped out like twice or something.
Yeah. So that was about 10 people, right? That was 10 people that had been operating in Cobble Edge for probably 2 months. And that was 10 people with about 4 or 5 to 10 ults each. And I much more enjoy working with that kind of group, that size or that scale, than working with having 200 people ready to do that one thing each. Because you can talk to 10 people, you can't really talk to 200 people. So like you can sit there. We sat in Cobble Edge each night for about 4 or 5 hours, chilling out, doing nothing, and you get to kill supers, kill waves. You saw that Titan. That Titan had about 4 people tackling it for 40 minutes, I think, with one dick troll each and everyone else in web Lokis and Bushas. So it was
I
Dictors
remember
tackling
that
it.
video.
Yeah, it was. I mean, what that intel, what that video didn't have was everyone screaming at each other. But
Well, so that video had comms though, and they were shouting at our fleet. We landed on grid, and they're like, "Bubble, bubble! Why don't they bubble?" They didn't realize we had our dictors already on grid, warping in and out, and like some died and whatnot. Right? Our dictors were already there, so I didn't have any dictors with my fleet anymore warping in. You know what I mean? And then they're shouting on us in that video. I'm like, dudes, like I don't have a dictor with me. I can't. Right? It's like,
by that point we'd been screaming at each other for about half an hour trying to keep, because they were undocking. They I didn't even have to do anything. They fleet warped their own avatar to a gate. And he got through the gate, and just as our dictors landed, he jumped, and we kind of resigned ourselves to failure. And it turned out he jumped to the beacon. And like I said, a couple of us kept him bubbled there against their probably 100-man kitchen sink fleet. I don't know how. It's one of those things where you look back and it doesn't really make sense how it was achieved. But it was when we saw you landing on grid, or when we saw everyone coming in, there was a big sense of relief. And then someone anchored a bubble instead of dropping a bubble from a dictator. People were, I think I was screaming pretty loud.
Yeah. Like those kind of things, like suddenly, like game on, you know what I mean? Suddenly, and then everyone has to do it right, and then sometimes mistakes happen.
Yeah, I mean that was a good spree we had there. Like I said, there was about 10 dudes. I think we killed one Titan. I don't know how many supers we killed, quite a few, and then it was just the day-to-day kills. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, also there is a video of that, and I also streamed it. So for those who wonder about that fight, I do not exactly know what it's called. Just look for Titan.
That was the sweatiest hands I've had playing this game when we had our supers there, because we didn't know if Greens were going to come and try and kill us. We didn't know if the straight in it Dictor might decide to come and bubble us. We didn't know. I mean, we also had the two Panfan fleets there.
At the same time, though, like at the same time, with a Kiki blob like we had, I forgot how big it was, but we usually are quite good at killing Dictors, killing Hicks, and even bombing bubbles that are already up, right? So,
well, the thing is, I think even a few bombs would do significant. I mean, I think 2 of our guys got DD'd in the supers, and we're in a half structure.
Oh yeah, it's no tank at all.
which was like I said, my hands were very sweaty, very very.
Oh, that would have been embarrassing to jump in 4 supers and then get the Titan into half structure and then lose 2 or 3 Nixes for it, right?
Yeah,
it would have been, but that was. I mean, that.
But that makes it exciting.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's why most of our group play the game, right? Because you do that and you're kind of shitting your pants, to be honest. Like, excuse my language, but you are shitting yourself because, like, I think 2 guys got DD'd, and all it takes is 1 intelligent Hector, and he can really ruin your time. But the thing is, there's not many intelligent. Not to sound like toxic, right? There's not many intelligent people that play the game, so you don't have to worry too much. You just have to be kind of prepared.
I think that's probably the difference in our playstyles, though, right? Is like we know if we mess up, we're going to feed like expensive ships and like have to replace it ourselves and stuff. Whereas like versus a Kiki, like if you're in a Kiki blob, you lose a 300 mil Kiki that probably gets like half SRP by alliance or whatever.
The thing is,
like it's a lot more like it's all on us kind of thing. Whereas like if you're in a blob, there's another guy behind you that can do the same thing.
So I would argue, though, I see your point, but I would argue if let's say, if I fly like a full Kiki fleet, like 200 people plus, right? That's a price tag of 40 bill, right? 40, 50 bill easily. If you kill them all, easily. And they all have 15, 20k HP. It's not impossible to kill them all. And I would say someone like you guys, if you put in effort, it's totally possible that you wipe out an entire fleet. And then it's not like it's a one-trick pony. No. If you are ready and you can predict where exactly we go, you could potentially wipe us completely out with low risk, like a couple smart bomb battleships, maybe smart bomb carriers. Stuff like this can wipe us out, right? So to say it's low risk, like add the embarrassment on top of it, like look at us, like 10 snuff guys killing 200 kikis, you know what I mean?
That would be the worst bit for me. It's not
exactly
the embarrassment.
I
know it's not cool to care about kill boards, but I mean, if you would play this game for PvP, like the guy said in chat, like it's a relatively small loss individually, but when you're doing those things, it's a very collective kind of experience, right? Like you're all doing it together. It also hurts your numbers. Next time you want to do it, and if the last memory of that feat is everyone getting smart bombed on a gate, people are gonna think, I'm not sure why I do that so much.
Yeah, that's also what I'm saying. It's not easy to get 200 kickies. You know what I mean? I didn't start running. I mean, it started with Stukas, right? I didn't start running 250 man Stuka fleets. It started with 50 dudes, right? So you take those 50, you have to find success. Those 50 grow into 60, 70, 80, 90. Sometimes you get 100. Then time zone differences, right? You can't go 200 kickies in every time zone. You have to build up that time zone, which I've tried because the China time zone is actually the best to hunt in, right? I try to FC more in that and then build up numbers there. And we're getting like really good numbers there now. And that's what I meant with like, it's not easy to get those 200 people, right? But yeah, I do see the point when people say it's easier to kill a super with 200 kickies than it is with like 4 supers and a couple of dictors, right? I totally get that.
Nowadays, I don't know. I mean, with the changes, I mean, there's a guy in Snuff that's killing. He's soloing supers in Drone Labs. Giannis is out there with it, 1 dictor and 1 super, and I think he got 2 supers in a day the other day. He's
up to like 6 or 7 now, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
With the fighter changes and the EHP net changes and the resist changes, it all kind of works in the favor of the Brave Nano super against the Krabichi Coward Ratting super.
Yeah, and one day he's gonna get baited, right?
Yeah, I mean, dude,
he hasn't yet, which is surprising.
He just warps back into bubbles with recons in system to loot, and then somehow gets out. I don't know what he does. He's a crazy German boy. I don't know how he does it, but he's a brave warrior.
But yeah, I mean, one day someone's gonna set up that trap, but by then, like that super's
like
paid for.
How many supers is he killed? Yeah.
It's like,
at that point you can probably say like, oof, well, who cares? That's probably why he warps back into the bubble, thinking, if I get the loot, great. If not, I'll just buy another one. Yeah. Like no big deal. Yeah, Jonas Pserat, also like a really good shit poster on Reddit.
He's a very good Rorqual miner as well. He mines moons very, very well. He's a professional moon miner.
That's why you got those nixes, huh?
Yeah.
Well, and you said something earlier. I wanted to add something. God damn it, now I lost it, I think. Oh yeah, so you guys like to focus on like smaller groups, right? It makes life like getting like it makes it in some way easier because you only have to manage those 10 guys. But then once you like get the target, that job is harder because you only have 10 guys, right? But like I always try to do both. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to build little groups that do the tackling part, the like getting stuff, and then basically I'm throwing out a way bigger net, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
so like
I mean, it's probably, I don't know if it's a sore subject, but like the Snuff guys that are active in Fountain, I think that's 8 people, and I think it's 8 people, maybe 9, but I think
I saw them talk mad shit in local earlier.
yeah.
It's like so 8s. And people fall for it, right? If you have 200 people or 250 people, 300 people in local, someone's gonna fall for it.
Yeah, someone's gonna bite.
Yeah.
I mean, I think anyone that's played this game for more than a month probably knows that if you shit talking local and you're the one biting back, you're just encouraging.
Give it what they want.
Yeah.
And one of the keep going.
So no, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just like one of the questions. I think the last question that I wrote down is actually came from that because I wondered, right? So the question was, would you guys think is it good or would it be good or bad for the game if like an alliance could just block someone, right? If we, for example, as Init, could then say, okay, we block Snuff. And then all Init
could handle that without chat systems breaking for a month. That just seems
like you think block them in chat and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So
think
I decide for the
already do
alliance.
it.
No. I don't think so, right?
Oh,
Can you?
you mean like so you block them for your alliance, not
Exactly.
personally?
Exactly.
Ah, okay. I think it'd be a good idea, like against Legacy and stuff like that, because they shitpost a lot.
Yeah, and so I had this discussion. The reason why I'm thinking about that. Or first to be clear, like so everyone understands what I'm actually talking about. Like the alliance goes and says, okay, we don't like Snuff anymore. They talk too much shit. We block Snuff, and then everyone in alliance has automatically Snuff blocked, and they can't read anything any Snuff guy says. Yes,
I think
Vertiso, you're
that's
gonna have a
weird.
neutral alt and local saying shit, but you know what I mean.
I think that's kind of a weird thing to do because an alliance of however many thousand people, right? I don't know if it's really for the CEO of that alliance to decide that people don't get to interact with.
I know what you
people.
mean, but at the same time, so if this was like a real life kind of thing, I would totally agree. Like, I can't have anyone decide this for me. But this is a game, and propaganda and narrative and all that plays a role. So I would feel like this would be a tool that could. I'm not saying that's what it should like is going to be like if it would ever to be introduced, but it could actually improve the thing. Right? Improve the game.
If players have the option to opt out of it, then that seems fine. But otherwise, it seems like not to sound too serious about it, but it's kind of like forced censorship. I mean, I wouldn't, if just as like a CEO of a corp, I wouldn't. If that was an option, I probably wouldn't block anyone because I wouldn't want to. That's like saying to my guys in my corp, like, you're not allowed to talk to these people, and to me that would seem really weird to do.
Yeah, I'm not saying. Yeah, that's. I agree 100%. It would be weird, and it would be a leadership decision, right? Like, are you the guy that just like blocks everyone, or are you the guy that just says like whatever, right? That's how it has always been. And I think some alliances would actually do the blocking thing.
Yeah, I think it would 100%. Definitely.
100%. Tests would definitely do. It'd be interesting to see which groups would do it. But
the main reason why I bring that up, or why I thought about it, is I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure how long have you guys been playing? For quite a while, right?
3 years.
Yeah, about 2 years, I think.
All right, so you might have actually missed that time before Discord. So before Discord was a thing, like imagine guys, there was no Discord. That just didn't exist. So everyone was using different tools, right? And alliances wouldn't even talk too much at each other, right? Like you like I couldn't just convo hi because I wouldn't even know the guy, right? I know the name and I know I can just link the character and right click it and send a message or convo him, but it didn't happen back in the day. And I feel like because it was just like that little bit harder to reach these people, right? And it wasn't the normal way of convoying, just straight up convoying the guy and then saying ha, like what's up. That was just not happening back in the day. And I think Discord changed that entire behavior between FCs 100%. Right?
I think it kept people a lot more separate. Like,
yeah,
exactly.
Like we all have friends in like different alliances and stuff like that. Like you have a Discord full of FCs in the game, right? So it's like everyone talks to each other. Like we see each other as like more like friends that play the game than anything. Now it's not just like some other random dude that plays the same game.
Like I've got good friends in Goons and in it. Well, one of my best mates isn't in it, and I feel like if we were communicating through emails, especially if it was with a Goon friend, I feel like he would get in trouble.
Yeah.
Just for talking to someone and stuff, or outside of the alliance in like a friendly way.
It has never been impossible to talk to someone outside the game, right? That happened. It just was super rare because people use different platforms. Like one group uses IRC, then the other one only Jabber, then another one used like maybe Slack when it came up.
Yeah.
And then like it was just so different. So you wouldn't even think about, hey, let me just go on to, for example, what happens a lot is like the Talking in Stations Discord, see if the guy is there, right? Like FC123 who I want to talk to or invite to FC chat. I'm gonna just check the Talking in Stations Discord if he's there, and then I just convo him. So it's just so easy, so available, you know. And it's exactly what you said, Brooks. That might just be like it was more isolated. All the groups, it was way easier to paint a picture of, like, let's say, paint a picture of High, right? Your main FC, for yourself, right? I could just say, like, High 1-2 Destroyer, and I have this clear picture in front of me, and that's the guy. But I never talk to the guy, so it never changes, right? So it's way easier to have, like, grudges and all that stuff.
I think constant communication between, like, opposing people is probably bad in a way. Like, I mean, isn't there a Discord that's like, I know there's Rakapes, like, Cartel, but there's also like the Blue Donut or something, which is for all the different null blocks. And it's kind of, to me, that seems weird. Where I just don't understand why you'd want to be that close and friendly with people. It discourages conflict, right? And that is what the game does not need. It does not need a reason to discourage conflict.
Yeah, I've always stayed out of the Blue Donuts Discords. Similar reason, I guess.
I think as well, it made like, I guess groups like Bombers Bar and stuff like that wouldn't be on the scale they were if it wasn't for Discord. And then same with like Delve Pest Control, that where me and Vert were, that would like drop in Delve and stuff like that, and Spectre, like all the MPSI fleets and stuff like that. And you wouldn't have like small little groups. I remember Marshy created a Discord where it had like Goon FCs, Pan Fam SCs and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's everyone's on there shooting each other.
Yeah, like if he wanted to drop on a certain group, he would just like give a tag to the FCs of the opposing side, and they would like have a chat room basically.
Yeah, 100%. The thing is though, like I have to ask though, would it have developed into this anyway? Is it a player behavior kind of thing? And it was in what do you call it? Inevitable, whatever, right? English is my first language.
I think player behavior is a massive. I call it an issue because it's the only word I can think of using, but I think it's a massive issue in the game for like, especially the things that happen. So like people don't want to lose the shit they've worked for, basically, right? So they're going to do everything in their power to stop that. So you end up with intel channels, intel bots, stuff like that. Like it happened while I was in frat, and we would form for a timer. Legacy would form like 1,700 people. Like we would form roughly the same amount as frat, but we'd never end up fighting because no one wants to be the person to engage and then feed.
Yeah, that's where Blackout would shine, right?
Yeah, but and then like because I was in frat, like the frat war was going on while Blackout was happening, and like we dread bombed like a Titan, like some supers and stuff like that, and then it kind of just died out because people just docked up. They didn't want to crab because they knew they were going to die.
I went too far in the wrong direction, in the right direction. Right?
I think like Blackout was kind of like a sledgehammer.
Yeah. I remember we went on a bit of a ratting Titan killing spree in Delve. I think we killed like 5 or 6 ratting Titans in a week or two, and it was
during Blackout.
I could just sit in Delve. I could sit in a system with like 3 dictors and a recon, a Sino, whatever, and just study them. Right, watching them with like completely blank characters, watching them cloaked, watching what distance they warp to, get people ready. Like you could just do it at such a leisurely pace. It just didn't really make sense. Like I liked it because it was, easy. But I think one of the things that people struggle with in the game is looking at the game through like someone else's lens and not just thinking, how does this benefit me? So I look at that and I think this is too easy to kill a Titan, like way too easy. So I don't think they should bring Blackout back in the same way they did, but some sort of, I mean, we've talked about this before, but delayed local or something similar that isn't just complete Blackout. It was a sledgehammer solution, like you said.
I think it was just like too heavy-handed at the time, and like because it was fun, it like brought that excitement back for like a week. Like the first couple of days of it, we were having like a small gang fight on a gate, and then a 250-man Munin fleet warped into us that we had no idea about because no one knew it was coming, and like we didn't see him jump in. So like that was kind of exciting, but it kind of just died out after that, like because everyone was scared. You'd see like ibises on gates and stuff like that to report fleets. People just like found a way to adapt to it that they had already had before. So they just wanted that like the same safety that they've always had.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I think a lot of small groups or small scalers and stuff, they still like say like, "Oh, Blackout was the best shit ever." I think they're still thinking about the first week or two, right? Yes,
Yeah.
in the first week or two, it was great, right? But everyone with a little foresight could see like this is not gonna last. This is gonna go downhill, and it was exactly the case. And I think Blackout is also responsible for pushing all these smaller groups on outside regions and stuff, all into the umbrellas, right? Because then they could read and mine. Because CCP never said how long it's gonna hold, right? So they didn't know. It might just be like a full year. So they decided to all move on the umbrellas, and now you don't have any even like semi renter-ish kind of groups on the outside, like on outside regions or something,
That's because
doing their own
every
thing.
null blocks like absorb them for their money, because that's what the game is about
Well,
for big blocks now.
you can you can say the null blocks absorb them for their money, or also the small groups joined the null blocks for their protection. You know what I mean? Like it goes both ways
It
there.
does
Yeah.
go both ways, yeah.
Yeah.
But
So the game mechanic forces the small groups to do that move. Otherwise, they wouldn't let the big groups milk them. You know what I mean? Like there's a reason why they let that happen.
they don't probably feel like they're being milked. Like I've got a few characters in like render groups, and the general like the feelings they have, they feel like they're getting a free ride. They don't feel like they're being exploited at all. They're kind of ignorant to their own situation,
Well,
I guess.
well, no, I mean, I would argue, like I said before, right? They get the protection. I mean, it's real. Like the umbrella power is real.
Why would you pay to be a renter when you could just join?
Yeah, that is true, obviously.
Or Horde or yeah.
Well, if you want
like,
exclusive space and so on, right? Like I don't understand too much
I guess
about
it has its benefits.
Yeah. You want an easy life, you don't have to worry about stuff. Like this is your system. You can do whatever you want. I guess it's like it's nice to have. You know what I mean? That's probably how they approach it.
They are the best at cloaky camp out of everyone in the game.
Yeah.
The people that pay for their
Because they can't go anywhere, right?
Yeah, you can't leave.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. I'm writing that down.
You don't have to join fleets as a renter, Shine says.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. If you all you want to do is crap, renting is probably not the worst gig, depending on like where and like what system and stuff.
Who you're renting off and so like the deal you're gonna get.
I've flown on a lot of renter space, and I mean you've hunted a lot, right? You know when there's telltale signs of bots and there's like really obvious botting behavior, and it is always. I mean, if you look at period basis is a pretty prime example of characters that used to be in like an Imperium Corp that now are in their like designated renter corp. That I mean, you watch them with blue eyes and
has
bring
some
in
questionable
like
activity. Yeah,
but it's just one of those things where it's probably botting has been in the game longer than I have, and it'll probably be here a long time after I quit. But
well, like, so one discussion that comes like up, not every time, but I would say 80-90% of the FC chats, where we talk about like botting and the impact that actually Blackout had, right? So the combination, it's funny that we talk about Blackout Knights coming to botting. That's one really good influence Blackout had. You remember before Blackout? There was like botting Nixes and shit. Like literally.
They're still
they're rare as shit though. Like I don't see them all that much.
I can tell you
they might be coming back right now. Maybe they're on the rise. I don't know exactly.
I think it stopped a lot of people, or they made the bots a lot smarter at what they were doing. Like before, they were very like simple. They had a task, they did that task. Whereas now they have to be a bit more intelligent.
But I would still argue
a fair few in every group. Like I'm not gonna like say specifically goons in it test or anything like that, but everywhere I've hunted, you can spot them. And it's 9 times out of 10, it's the ones that you're watching them with blue eyes. You bring a neutral character in, and they like the same tick. They usually, when you're looking at a ship, it breaks your lock on it when they warp. And they warp in the very same tick, and it's always to a POS. And it's 9 out of 10 times to a POS.
And then if you like go to said POS, you'll find like 10 Dominixes or whatever in there as well, like just orbiting the stick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like, so we police our space, like, just, saying, as good as we can. It's very hard though, right? For example,
there's no reason for you to do it. Like, what is your? I'm not like criticizing, but like, what is your incentive to spend your time playing a video game, policing the game for bots? Like, I wouldn't do it if I was.
Like, we're not running around and checking every system. But if someone says like, "Hey, this guy's a bot," we're gonna check it out. And if it's a bot, he's gonna get kicked, and probably he's gonna lose whatever he has. Usually, they don't have all that much.
Yeah.
And like, that's what I mean by policing. We're not going around and checking every renter all the time. That would be ridiculous. But it is hard to tell. But
if I was like a director or whatever in like a null block, right, and someone says we want to rent some space and we'll pay you like this much money, I wouldn't care what they do, to be honest. It's not my job. I'm not gonna track it down. If I see something obvious, then obviously I'll report it, but I'm not gonna go out of my way to look for it. And that's why I find it funny when people say that. I'm not saying you do, but I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, we actively go around all night looking for bots in our space," and it's like, well, fair play, but you're a bit like, if you want to spend your time playing a video game looking for bots, like,
go for it.
Good luck to you. Yeah.
I mean, like, I've hunted bots, but not for like the purpose of, say, like reporting them, purely just to kill them. Like, once you understand them, like, they're easy to catch, right? You just log off a dictator on a pos and log in, bubble, and that's it. You got it. So, like, for that purpose of looking for bots, it's easy money, easy kills. But like, I agree with it.
So,
I don't think like alliances should ever police their own people for botting.
Well, no, we shouldn't have to.
No.
But at the same time, if you, like, let's say you're in our shoes right now, you have space and your alliance income is partly renting, which is a fairly common thing. Now you have all these renters, and then someone comes along and says, "Hey, this guy's botting, I'm pretty sure." Like, what do? Like, you don't like botting, right? So are you gonna count on CCP fixing it? Are you gonna let this guy bot? Or are you gonna just check it out? You're gonna find someone who's bored and who hates fucking bots to just check him out. Find some like solid proof. And it's not that easy, right? It's not that easy to prove it. But like you said, the same tick warp kind of thing, that's a good indicator, right? Just the general behavior and the online times. And it's not hard. Like, we have the manpower to find like volunteers for that kind of stuff. I did it a couple times. If you're bored, just checking that one dude, and maybe he's in a super, it might just be a good snake for your own guys,
Yeah.
So you don't have the 250 people waiting. You come back and you're like, "Hey, dudes, you know what? There's this guy." So you can just snake that dude. It's not like you invest.
The nature of the beast, isn't it? Right? PvE is like, it's fucking boring. Sorry for the language, but it is so boring. So I can understand why people do it.
Yes,
it's always going to be in the game.
Yeah, but so the point I wanted to go for earlier with the blackout thing, which I always say when this comes up, is like, what if we had 20-second delay on local, right? You could catch every bot. Yeah, you could catch every bot. If you're predictable and someone has 20 seconds, I think he's gonna catch you. Maybe not the first try, but nobody's gonna red in Nixes, that's for sure. If you're predictable and you're in a Nix, there's gonna be a Vertiso, there's gonna be a Brooks or a Pando. I like to do that kind of stuff too. Just log in off a dictator at the right spot, and boom, we're gonna catch you, right?
Yeah.
That would give us, like, as players overall in EVE, the tools to police our own game, right? So
I think the problem with like delaying local is, right, is a lot of the crabs going to dock up. Like, I've been on a couple of your Kiki fleets. I know how you hunt. Like, you just flood a couple of systems with dictators, right, and one of them's bound to hit the right site and catch something. Like, if local's delayed, no one's going to want to be in space when Init comes out of a uni hole, because they're going to get caught.
Yeah, so we do that. We do all kinds of things, right? Sometimes we just like flood it, because like that's the thing. You focus on like a particular kind of target, maybe 2 targets, right? And in our case, like if you take out a massive fleet, you have to like broaden like you can't have locked off dictators in every system. Like to set everything up for every fleet every time, you're gonna lose your mind. And so we have to hunt like that almost, right? Like there's no way around that really.
I think as well as like a lot, like the reason I play, or the main reason I play the game is hunting. Is like I enjoy the hunt. I enjoy being faster than someone else, like, and being able to catch them. Whereas I think, and like I even think like a local delay would take that fun out of it, because that then gives me time. Like I'm not on a clock to catch someone. I've got that 20 seconds to
20 seconds
like,
isn't
find out
too
where he
bad.
is. Yeah.
In the world of like aligned super carriers, like 20 seconds is pretty reasonable, because without the 20 seconds you're racing against the guy's fighters recalling for the most part. And since they changed the way that fighters walk back to a super after you land on the citadel, that's cut it down even more.
Yeah, I always think like 20 seconds is probably the sweet spot. It's not too scary, is it? I mean, if you're organized, if your group is organized, you're gonna see this dude coming anyway. So you already know he's coming before he's in your local. So like what's happening to us a lot of times, right? We just ping and people already dog up. So then getting there and burning there and all that stuff.
Being in a big group.
It is. That is the biggest disadvantage, I believe. Right? If you're like a big group with a lot of corps, some corps take more, shit characters in than others.
Well,
right?
Every alliance has that corp that takes in anyone with a cool story.
With a fucking pulse. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's not hard to. Some of the places that I've got into with like a completely fabricated story off the top of my head about being a WoW raid leader and wanting to try a new game and loving sci-fi.
That's ridiculous.
You'd be depressed at how stupid people are. It's shocking, and yeah, that's why I mean in our corp, like we only really take people that we all know to some extent, because we don't have any desire to be a big corporate, so we don't see any reason to take a risk. If it's someone that we all know to some extent, then that's fine. But yeah,
definitely is a first. Like I'm trying to combat that whole thing, but trust me, it's a long process.
There's only so much you can do, right? You can stop the low effort ones, but if someone actually wants to put the effort in to have a legit looking character and be in your alliance, you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, and then I can only imagine it's not the worst to join a Kiki fleet every now and then and just like have some fun. You know what I mean? Like
even say I don't know, some guy from NC that hates in it with a burning passion, that has a character that can play Kiki and like a few other doctrine ships. Spend like a month being active with that character, find a corp, and just like you say, do like a couple of Kiki fleets a month. And even if for some reason they have a burning passion, hatred for in it, they can do that. I'm sure they'll be fine doing that. And there you go. There's a problem character right there.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Coming back to the whole Discord thing, that's another thing that's fairly new. Like now you only need that one guy with the pings, like setting up a ping relay, and then he shares it to everyone, right? Suddenly everyone has your pings. That's exactly what's happening to us at the moment. Like it's not hard to get a Chai into Init or AM, right? There's some corps there that just recruit too easily, and then that one guy, he's like, I've got a corps. Don't even try, Vertiso. Stop it.
I had DEFCON recruits pretty easily.
Well, if you're German and you're a good pilot,
I can fake German.
You can speak German? All right, let me hear it.
You can't pretend to be a good pilot.
Say Eichhörnchen.
No, I can't speak German. I can fake it. Google Translate worked pretty well while I was speaking to Chinese people. I'm sure it'll work with German.
But yeah, it's a struggle, guys. So that's actually one of the biggest advantages, or the biggest, I should say strength of Snuff is the OPSEC, right? And you even recruited some, people that I would consider not so OPSEC, right? People that like to talk a lot and stuff. I don't know the name. I didn't say it. But that's where I thought, like, ooh, like, is obstacle still there? You know, it's hard to tell. Right? And I think
Well,
if
you can the proof's in the pudding, right? Like if you're able to do something to someone that you think has information on you and they don't react in any way, then you can be pretty confident that either they're not paying attention to their relay or they don't have the eyes that you think they have. And there's plenty of ways to test it, but
yeah,
that.
but so you can test it, but you can never be sure, right? You can never be sure.
Oh, yeah, I'm never sure. I'm a
Yeah.
massive paranoid.
Yeah.
I assume at all times that someone's listening, watching, plotting, because I don't know. If you do it to some other people and you see how easy it can be, you assume there's at least one other person that's going to put the effort in to do the bare minimum to just have eyes and ears on you.
That is yeah, that is correct. So you guys, like you said, actually, I think we missed the introduction of you, Brooks, right? I think I got interrupted because I didn't have any song for you guys. So we actually only met.
I think I did it.
Yeah, so
yeah, so we met yesterday, didn't we?
Yeah, when you were talking a little bit shit in local. Oh, you weren't talking
shit. I was just keeping you busy.
No. Well, we were busy anyway, sitting on this wall. It was like, you know, we had to wait anyway.
It's a fun chat. No, like I guess I knew who Jade Page was because I've been in your fleets and stuff. So it's kind of just like, and like or the way I thought was like we saw the size of your fleet. I was in IG when you undocked, so I was like, this is a bit sketchy. So I was like, oh, we'll keep him busy. We'll keep him busy.
Yeah, you know what? Usually Kiki fleets, like we don't do a lot of Kiki fleets in Euro time zone because it's not the best hunting time zone, right? So whenever there is a Euro time zone Kiki fleet, I didn't even make it like a strat up or anything. It was just full. Like it was 256 people actually, which is super nice, right?
I remember watching it on dock and it like nearly crashed my client. I was like, oh my god, we're gonna get blobbed as always.
Well, that's the thing. If you're traveling from your staging to that distance, you're not bringing Kikis to have I hate the phrase "good fight," but have a good fight over it. It's more of a like fuck off, right?
Yeah.
Like it's stop doing this, please.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess. Yeah, you could say it like that, but the thing is maybe, so if you want to talk about what happened yesterday, right? So from your perspective, what exactly happened yesterday? We formed 250 Kikis and then, we should actually go back. First of all, what I want to say is, you guys refed not one Citadel, not two, you refed 4 or 5, right? 4 or 5 Raitarus. I'm not sure of anything else. I think it's Raitarus.
This is the second time we've done it as well.
It's just something to do, man.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it comes down to. Because basically, like, we talked about content. We're driving towards fights, right? So if there's an init group, right? So you guys have good numbers, like to have fights. If you've got a bunch of citadels very close to us, that mean we don't have to travel far. We're going to shoot all of them because A, it's something to do. B, we're pretty autistic with shooting in citadels.
Yeah.
And C, like if you shoot a lot of them, then you have a choice to come for any of the timers that you want, and there's no reason not to come.
So there's that, but like, so I would argue if you hit one citadel, that tells us, okay, they probably just want the good fight. If you ref 4, though, over the stretch of like 3 hours,
then you have the time, you have the choice.
You ref 4 for us.
Yeah,
that's so nice of you.
Well,
I did totally misunderstand the whole thing then.
Because people, there's all people, not you, but people in this game will use pretty much anything to get out of having to go to a fight a lot of the time. If it's too much effort or if it's too far. But if we ref 4 or 5 citadels, it takes the time factor out of it. You can choose which time you come for.
Yeah, but so at the same, so you guys obviously, that's another thing, right? So you ref 4 citadels. You say you ref 4, so we have a choice of like when we want to show up, which is kind of weird because if we don't show up for the first timer, guess what happens, right? You're gonna ref the first timer. So, but
it's not
whatever.
All the time, to be honest. I mean,
You have to understand, if you ref the armor, the pull is gone on an Athanor, right?
Well, it goes okay.
So-
So, if what you're saying is true, right? If we ref someone's 5 citadels and they don't turn up to any of them, then you're going to carry on shooting them because it's an easy kill mill. So really, it just comes down to like hoping people come and bring a fight.
I think it puts a price on it, though, doesn't it? Like, we ref 5 citadels that are worth 2 bill each. Like, it's then your choice if you want to lose those 5 citadels to us or come and defend them.
But would you agree we would have to show up to the first timer, right?
Yeah, of course.
And didn't we do that?
I can't speak for Tal's planning. You know, he's a Russian bear.
Mad Russian.
We don't question. We don't question Tal.
All right, so let me try to explain then what happened. So we formed for the first timer, and what I like to do, obviously, I always like to focus on one thing. Like, so I do like either Stukas or is it Kikis, right? I like to fly the same thing, right? So I form my Kikis, and it's a big fleet, 250 dudes. And I'm just gonna say, you guys were not ready for 250 dudes and Kikis and all stuff, right?
Which comes back to reinforcing multiple citadels, because by the time you come back for the final timer, there might just be a fightable fleet there instead of 250 Kikis.
So that's from my perspective what happened yesterday. Is like I formed 250 dudes, but I already know this. Like, you're not the only guys reffing our stuff every now and then, right? So whenever I have to cover a timer or whatever, like I just make a normal Kiki hunting fleet out of it. So a lot of times we just like get warm set up. We sit on the warmer leading to the timer, and when the timer is done and nobody shows, we're just gonna go hunt, right? So nobody's time is completely wasted. But then yesterday you had 4 timers, and they're stretched over 3 hours. And 3 hours is a long op for like a big fleet. Might not be for like people chilling, setting stuff up, but stretching a fleet over 3 hours is a long time.
Well, how far is it for you? Because there is an argument to be made that owning citadels that are outside of your sphere of influence is...
I agree.
I mean, I don't want to mention names because I don't want to cause any conflicts, but there's plenty of people in it I know that have either left recently or are still in it, that the idea of traveling to multiple regions every week to, you know, defend citadels is a big reason they either left or are thinking about leaving.
Yeah.
So
I think you put it pretty well the other day, that when we were talking about it, it's like, I think the way we look at it is like, if you want to live in nullsec, you can't have nice things in lowsec.
Or you have to come and fight for them whenever people ref them.
And I agree. Like, it's not like I say we have a right to own every citadel in the game and every system. You know, it's like, it would be ridiculous. But the thing is, you guys took you took the angle of like, for the good fight. You know what I mean? So you have to see it like that. It's not like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday was a funny one. Like when I was talking to you in local, I only knew of 2 timers. I didn't know there was 4, and I didn't know the last one was like 3 hours after the first. So I thought that, like, yeah, I'll just like shit talk a little bit. Maybe I will come and fight or whatever. Like, it was time to form and stuff.
Yeah, it wasn't shit talk. And it wasn't, I didn't see it as negative at all. It was very positive. Like, it just chilling out, like, you know, whatever.
Yeah, I think it's just like 3 hours is a long time to drag out a fleet. Like, understandably as well, for that many people. And like I was watching your fleet quite a lot of the time, and like I could see the numbers start to drop off to a point where like maybe this is fightable for us.
Yeah, and I think that's like, I don't think we would have a day. Maybe it could have worked if I execute perfectly with the original fleet onto what you had later on. I think we could have made it, right?
Yeah, I think.
But at the same
massacre.
No, I don't think a massacre. A massacre means we warp in and we just run through the stuff. Like, we didn't lose that many numbers over the time. But so what happened is, right? So I set the fleet up for the first 2 timers because they're fairly close to each other, and then there was a 1 hour gap in between those timers, and then the next timer, which I didn't know was actually an R64. So I thought, if they ref the next one, whatever, right? Like, they probably, if they don't show for the first 2, it's unlikely they show for the next one. I didn't know the third one would be then a little bit more valuable. Not crazy. I think it was a 1-week pull or something on it. But So what I did then is try to catch something actually with Volta, because they were out hunting too, and they had eyes on a rocker, or on several rockers actually. And we had a wormhole close by, so we covered those first. Then I went hunting with Volta. They tackled one rocker, but they couldn't get the escalation. That's what I said earlier, right? Like, one rocker, is that enough for 250 dudes? I would argue probably not, right? You want like a good, payday if you can.
Yeah, you want like the super response maybe to come in.
Yeah, I think their supers were not in range. That was a real problem. But yeah, so we tried to stretch it and get the escalation, and then that rocker even got out because they just showed up with like a good chunky fleet of mutants, and it's hard to fight mutants in Kikis. So we killed, I don't know, 3 mutants or some shit, nothing crazy. Then I moved the fleet back, and then also you have to think about like it's super exhausting to line up all these wormholes and getting places left, right, and center. Like after 2 hours you're gonna be exhausted, and that's exactly what happened to me there. The fleet dropped a little bit number wise because we had to cross our staging, so people had an easy time dropping off. So instead of 250, I only had 200 in fleet, which then turned out to be 170 on grid, or 179 I think we had on D-Scan. So the fleet was significantly smaller, and I was exhausted, right? So I didn't have the patience to set everything perfectly up. So instead of trying to do like a double boosh, setting these guys up to get you off your faxes, and that's like, I didn't do any of that. So I whooped in at range, knowing you probably have smart bomb battleships, which you can actually see. I streamed it yesterday, even though it wasn't the best fight ever, but maybe you guys are interested in watching it, like whoever's listening. So we warp in at range because I know they're gonna be smart bomb battleships. I can't just warp on 0 and get us all wiped out in like 1 second. And it was just not enough DPS to crack it, because you guys, the last 2 hours where we were trying to hunt and shit, you guys just focused on jumping shit in. The perfect fit for exactly what we had, right? Explore hardness, thermal hardness.
Yeah.
The fucking Devoters unbreakable, right? Because that was one take. I thought maybe I can warp in, kill the Devoters, and then have my command destroyers burn in and boosh you off. And then I can take the fight on a ping, right? Then you guys are in trouble. But those Devoters are just like, I mean, they naturally have a good explore resist, but I would have thought maybe I can get through because they may have counted on that too much and not refit.
I think you primaried my Devoter, and I think
half armor or something.
Felt like it didn't feel like I was being shot by that many Kikis. It was obviously tanked specifically, but
I think that's a problem we've been coming up against recently, though, especially like the fight we had like a week ago where it was us versus you and Volta. Is like the boost changes is kind of fucking us, and I guess
that's what I predicted actually.
Well, I guess
we had this discussion before.
I guess the same way for like your old Stuka fleets, like they're not the same because you can't boost your entire fleet with one ship. But like the
splitting
limit
you
on
up
now is actually an issue, yeah. Whereas instead you would just boost all our max off the faxes.
Yeah, and then your entire fleet would be all in one place still, which is not the end of the world. But now it's 25. That's that's a well digestible piece of a fleet, I would say.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to balance, right? It's very hard to balance how
it is.
How useful? How can you make that justifiably useful? Because 3 destroyers worth, if you're going to use their value to measure them, maybe like 60 mil each or maybe 70 mil each, can essentially neuter a fleet. You can't, if you're going to boost from 300 kilometers away or out of lock range of a hick, there is no counterplay to it, really. I mean, you can burn.
Or you just have enough command destroyers, warp on 0, ECM burst. What are you going to do? Someone's going to boost. Yeah. If you have 10 command destroyers, I would argue you don't have a chance. With slow battleships, if you have warped 10 command destroyers in, you won't. I mean, depending on how many hicks you have, obviously, but I don't see them scrambling every single one, right?
No, I mean, I've started running 2 hicks per fleet with 3 points on them.
Yeah,
and
and that was always, that's also the key when you have a fleet up for 2 hours and you lose those numbers, it's not only that you lose numbers in general, it's also you might lose key ships. You might lose that one hig that you need. You might lose, in my case, I lost, I think we had 7 command destroyers when we first undocked, and we only had 3 at the end. And one of them is a 3-link command destroyer, so you can't even push. So I had 2 command destroyers. I warped those 2 in, and because I was exhausted, lazy, whatever you want to call it, I didn't prepare these guys for what their job is actually going to be. In my mind, it's clear, you just spam your MJD. But they were completely surprised by it, and one of them then somehow did MJD, but the other one was what am I doing here, and warped off, and so nothing really came of it. That was the last desperation move. I was okay guys, let's pack up our stuff and just reship, come back, and then obviously you guys didn't want to fight Titans.
You made a super fleet towards us, right? What the fuck are we gonna do against
that? Wasn't me. In my defense, it was the evil Dark Shines, right? Yeah, you made him mad. I tell you what, you made him mad.
Well, enough is enough, to quote the great Dark Shines. But I've always liked Dark Shines. Dark Shines, he knows where my interests are. He knows I don't really care about what ticker someone has. If you've got supers and titans, I wanna shoot them. But I would be interested very much in seeing a Titan fleet in low sec. That would get me.
I think especially after today as well. I know you weren't there, Pando, but we had fucking 700 Imperium, and now
I wasn't even there.
Full of timers, so I don't know what that's about. I don't know what you're playing.
Yeah, so far,
I think that's a very interesting knee-jerk reaction. I think because if a group gets annoyed by 8 people doing something and then goes refs the home of those 8 people,
by 8 people? What are you talking about? 8 people? What?
It's 8 people in Fountain and 8 people.
But that's not what the reaction is about. You don't, guys, come on. You're not claiming that this reaction is because adversity sent some shit talkers. Come on. That's ridiculous.
Okay, so it's either 8 people in Fountain or 2 people.
2 people reffing incident.
You got to wonder, that 8 people or 2 people warrant this kind of reaction. You got to wonder what happens when the whole alliance starts following those lines, because I don't want to get. Yeah.
8 people. Yeah, that's the reaction because what's his name? Actually, let me look. He's probably talking shit right now. We scroll. Joe Custer. There you go. Because Joe Custer is talking shit in local.
Well,
that's why we're reffing all of Rockappers.
The same 8 people that are in Fountain, 8 of the people that are in Cobble Edge, and we saw what happened. BBB ended up leaving Cobble Edge, so I don't know. They can be pretty annoying to the people that they choose to annoy.
Yeah.
But
they can be annoying. I get, but come on, I don't want to.
Yeah, I just don't understand the response to go and ref all of fucking Rackapass.
I feel like I know it's a little bit, right? So first of all, when I invited you guys, I didn't know yet, right? I didn't know he planned on doing that. Yeah, so when I told him, hey, I'm gonna have Brooks and Vertiso on tomorrow, and we're gonna talk about the fight and whatnot, and he's like, oh yeah, good timing. I'm gonna ref all of Rackapass tomorrow. I'm like, oh shit, okay, whatever. Right?
I feel like this is a good time to make the announcement that Cal told me to announce.
All right.
So as of tomorrow, we're going to be aligning with PanFam. The whole of Snuffed Out is going to be aligning with PanFam.
Oh my god!
And we're going to be doing a full deployment somewhere close.
NPC Fountain?
I don't know, but yeah, Snuff is aligning itself with PanFam.
Oh damn! That's so sad.
You know how I feel about it, but I'm just the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. Yeah. So anything.
Yeah, I think I'd feel dirty saying that. Honestly, Vert. Now I understand what you meant. I'm glad I didn't know beforehand.
What are the chances that it's a troll? Is he serious?
It's
I don't know, dude. You did just bring 600 goons to our system.
Yeah.
And if a super fleet appears again, I'm sure PanFam would want to see it.
Yeah, it's not. This isn't me saying. This is me passing on the message. But yeah, we're gonna be working closely with our new friends. I had a special plan that was aimed for Bastion. I spent because I haven't been very active until recently. I took about 4 or 5 months off from playing actively, and I just used that time. I actually I made 32 accounts. I set myself a little project. I made 32 accounts, and I got them each of the three characters into the Imperium for a project involving the Bastion. But I've been told I have to redivert that focus now. So
I think we also found out that Bastion actually fight back quicker than in Fountain.
Oh, is that
an
so?
issue with we've had an issue with Bastion Sinos.
Yeah, we've been
And well, Adversity had
you
an
know
issue
what?
with Bastion
So-
Sinos.
You know what? I probably believe that to be true. Because we don't have a whole lot of fleets getting into Fountain, right? It's usually like a small gang here, small gang there, and that's usually stuff you can't save anyway. So
yeah,
I think
Bastion are scary. I came to Fountain with very little respect for Bastion, but Bastion are a scary boy.
so.
I think they've baited more adversity Lokis than anyone ever has. They've killed a lot of them, but yeah.
But that's the thing with groups that are getting dropped a lot of times. They either crumble and just give up, or they get better at it. And I think that's what's happening for Bastion, right? So they're getting better at it because they're getting dropped, or they were getting dropped a lot, and we're just not used to it anymore. I feel like we're not getting dropped all that much. So, but at the second a Vertiso says he's gonna focus on Fountain, like then it's maybe worth thinking a bit about like having signals ready and shit.
I'm a soldier and I have a general. That's what it comes down to.
You know what? I'm not mad about it at all. It's like, come on. Like, as long as you don't make me wait like hours and hours, I don't have to sit there with you 5 hours straight. Like,
that's the whole fun of it. You can't know when it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like for that hell the other day, I think my recon was burning around for 10 minutes, and this one guy was following me, shit talking me in local for a minute. A very, very aggressive young man. And,
who was that? Call him out.
I'm not gonna call him out because he was being pretty. I'm not gonna. I talk some shit in local, so I'm not gonna name and shame the guy. But he was looking at my character's killboard, which was a fresh recon, and he was saying, obviously, what are you going to do with that character? There's nothing you can do. And as soon as he left local, I watched him go down 2 gates, then we killed the hell, and I PM'd him just to say that winky face. Blocked me immediately.
Well, that hell got killed by that blue scout though, right?
I don't know anything about that.
Well, it was if
you
you think it's like,
he was AFK on a Poco. Apparently, he'd been told to like bash the Poco or something.
No, he wasn't.
I mean,
guys, you don't have to try. You don't have to try to fucking. So what happened? I know exactly what happened. Okay.
He was doing PI in the hell.
No, what actually happened to that hell? Right? For those, maybe the guys listening in are confused now because you're just talking shit. Like there was a dude who was actually light blue, from like what's the Space Pope's sixth Empire? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Sixth Empire.
Seventh Sanctum, Sixth Empire.
Sixth Empire.
All the same anyway. So the Sixth Empire guy, like he went there. After you guys, I'm pretty sure, scouted that helm. I'm not sure if he found that one. You probably scouted it, and then you decided to burn that one. And then he got into the retting or the fucking standing fleet and got onto Squad Command, which is dumb. Like, be flag exempt, be simply not in that fleet when you go AFK, right? But whatever. So he was in that fleet, and then that guy just whooped him on. And he used that trick that I taught you ages ago. Remember that trick? You decloak and you regroup first.
Yeah. I've used that a lot since then. It's a wonderful little trick.
Yeah.
I remember the first time he told me to use it or showed me how to use it was Killer Bee's Megathon fleet, I want to say.
Yeah, something in the north.
And he bombed them. Those were good times.
Yeah. And for those who wonder, so let me explain the trick. It's not that crazy of a trick anyway, but if you are in squad leads with the target that target is usually not aligned to where you want to warp it. The thing is, you can align it though by simply warping to the target at 100, or like at any range really, from the direction you wanted to warp to, and then you just decloak, say regroup, and then you cloak up again, and that target will align. So what that prevents is, if you have that hell sit AFK or apparently AFK, maybe he's doing something else on the PC, right? Then you just hit squad warp, he's gonna maybe have sound on, and then he hears warp drive active, and then he just, instantly stops the warp and thinks like, what the fuck? But if he's aligned, warp drive active, he's in warp. That's it. End of story, right? Bubble is already up probably, and inhib is up, everything. Jets are probably already in warming up the guns, right? So that way it's just like the chance of success is just way higher. And in your case, there was a fleet of battleships. I think it was Megatrons, yeah. And then you warped them in and we bombed them to shit on the sun.
We did it with Ferox fleet in Trig, didn't we? That
was is it a Horde Ferox fleet?
Yeah, Horde Ferox.
Yes. Many a fleets warped to their dooms. Many a bombers bomb. Many.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that's exactly your fucking thing, right? Sneaking.
It's easy
but
kills.
I just saw Bjornby is in chat too. You never did it to Bjornby, right?
No, I love Bjorn. I've never spoken to him, but big. I do like the dude.
That's the thing. Bjornby is such a likable dude. Nobody's really putting in that much of an effort to fuck with his fleets, luckily. And he's
pretty attentive as well, though. I can't imagine he'd let anyone into fleet command to fleet warp and stuff.
I don't know. I've never. I mean, obviously, I've never tried,
but
we did.
I'd feel like a dick.
That would be dumb.
We ever did to Bjorn was I think he had a boosting Naga fleet in Pure Blind, and we chemoed them with Proteuses.
Well, but that's legit. That's a good counter, right? I did that too, I believe, once. So when when someone shows up with a fleet and you have a counter for it, that's fair play. But yeah,
the fleet war thing. I'm trying to petition CCP to introduce fleet jumping, so an FC can jump his squad to a Sino. I think that's very much needed in the game.
There you go. And maybe
think of the ways you would abuse that bit.
Fleet fitting, fleet everything, right? You can just grab fleet members' hangers and shit.
200 mil plates instead of 1600.
That's another good trick for that spy kind of warfare stuff, right? The whole buy off contracts of hostiles and then replace the plates, like large plates with small plates.
Yeah.
When I first saw that trick, I was laughing so fucking loud. Yeah. I was fucking brilliant.
When goons deployed to Ferry to come and fight us, we had so much fun when they lived in the station. So much fun. Small pulse laser Abaddons, 100mm plate Abaddons, gyro stabilizers on Abaddons. That was. I think they had we seeded a bunch of web Lokis with no web subsystem as well.
Yeah. And that that's those little tricks.
It's
so annoying, but it's
Loki with no plates.
You know what?
No web subsystem.
I would argue though that kind of shit hits morale harder than it does actually the ships itself. In a fleet of 100 Battens, maybe 10 of them have the shit play, and you might just know those 10 because you set up the contracts.
You see who buys them. Them.
So you can exactly you can kill them at first.
It's just something to laugh about after the fleet. More than some grand strategy, it's nothing serious. It's just something funny to do.
But
there's nothing else to it. Just having a good laugh.
But in a war, morale is everything, really, right? So if your morale goes up and their morale sinks, that's a win. No matter what. Even if it's a 50-50 fight, you win because you had more fun. You know what I mean? And they're embarrassed because they're losing 100mm plated Battens. You know what I mean? So that can just make all the difference in a longer war, especially, I think, or in a longer conflict.
I don't know. I think war does need to break out so we can do stuff like that again, just to test your theory there, Pando.
Well, I thought you were about to break order, like make war.
I don't know.
There's war and there's what I do.
Yeah, it's very different.
To get into a
Well,
fight, I've messed up.
I don't know. I think if
That's
you're
how I
going to come
play
back
the
to
game.
Rakapasta,
I
there might
think
be one.
I think it'll be nice. I mean, if people finally bring, what's sad is today, for example, you look at what happened, and it's something in it could do on its own. There's something that goons could do on their own,
Yeah.
and I know that it's not especially for goons. Like, there's no real desire for a fight, right? I mean, the pings always say like guaranteed fight, enemies undocking, enemies forming, and all that stuff. But like, if you look at the FCs they send, you know that for most of the time there's not really any interest in a fight, because if there was a fight, they probably wouldn't do very well. It's more of a making a point, more than anything.
It's dick swinging, isn't it? It's like
Yeah.
It's like when you did those Titans yesterday. It's like okay, show up or leave kind of deal.
Yeah, it is. It is. Right. I wanted to explain that actually earlier because, like, so I know Darkshines pretty well, obviously, right? And like when we form Supers and Titans, that's usually that's not for the good fight, right? Obviously.
Yeah, it's the finisher, isn't it?
But if you look, like I said at the beginning, like if you ref 4 or 5 citadels and then you like wait 2 hours till you actually finally show up and stuff, you know, that's not the good fight behavior. You know what I mean? And then there was some other stuff happening, I think, with Chines. I forgot what it was actually. He said something. I forgot. But then he decided like
Shines when we started fighting. I think we might have. It was either you or Shines. I can't remember. We shot at someone first.
I had a nice 2 heavy newts on both of you from my balcony.
Well, I expected to be webbed and neutered anyway.
That's the problem with having. I mean, I guess that's a problem with taking that fleet doctrine against a big, I guess a more diverse fleet, is when you with your guys. I mean, there's only so many people that are going to be anchor, right? Like, it's either you, Shines, or an alt of one of you, or maybe like one other person. So like, if you're going,
I was set up with someone else. Yeah, someone else was supposed to take over, and he did take over instantly. Like, he just has to regroup. I switch him off, and then that's all fine. But yeah, I mean, there's obviously you guys, like, there's an advantage because like some of your guys obviously are talking shit, like, oh, you have to outnumber us 4-1. Yeah, what should people do, just subcap wise, against slave Macarials with faxes and then dreadnoughts? Who knows how many dreads you guys got ready?
Initiative has probably more dreadnoughts than we have members in the alliance,
but we don't have them in the right spot. We don't, like, that's the thing what we talked about earlier. Like, we have citadels everywhere, right? We have soft everywhere and all kinds of shit. Like, we're way too stretched. To be quite honest, we're way too stretched. We've like Sovereign Quirius, citadels in Iridia, Fountain, Outer Ring, Cloud Ring, Fate, Pure Blind, Placid. Like, there's like 10 regions where we have stuff, right? So we can't be everywhere all the time, obviously, and we shouldn't be everywhere. And I'm not complaining; that's like our own fault. But the fact is, we don't have dreads ready right there just because we have a citadel there. You know what I mean?
No,
we can't auto-escalate you guys necessarily.
It's not far from IGE.
It's not far, but the second we undock 100 dreads, like, what are you guys gonna do?
Yeah, we're gonna see you a long way away.
Yeah, like, that's not happening, is it?
But also, it isn't that far.
Yeah, I know.
100 dreads, we have a nice dread bro.
Would you guys take like 100 dreads?
I'm pretty sure we would. I mean, we'd take
we might lose, but we'd still take it.
I don't know. But yeah, the thing is, like, if you don't have the toys ready to go, like, if you don't have the dreads right then and there, and I didn't have them ready, like what am I supposed to do, right? Like,
that's why timers. That's
bring 50 battleships, like someone suggested.
Yeah,
like, it's not happening. Say what?
I mean, if you have 4 timers, you have the time to choose which one you want to commit for. Move the dreads. I mean, shit. Some of the ranges and distances. Not recently, I'm not talking about specifically recently, but in the past, some of the crazy journeys we've done with dreads just to have them ready in case you need them in a fight because you want to be able to take the fight. It's worth it. You get to use them more often than not. You don't win all the time, but
yeah, that's true.
it's so much nicer to have them there than to like. If you take think of it this way: what results in more enjoyment for everyone involved? Taking a full fleet, including caps, with the support that you need to field them, or as soon as
the thing is though, you also have to see what's worse. If I travel there, and it's a couple jumps at least, if I travel there in a heavy doctrine, like you guys are very close by, one bridge and like maybe 2 jumps or something, I don't know. But we do have to take several jump bridges and then travel there like 10 jumps. If you take a heavy doctrine, you're not gonna like that gap between the first 2 timers. If you don't engage us on the first 2 timers, I'm sitting there for an hour straight doing nothing. Right? With 200 people or something?
Snuff is not gonna, as an alliance, is not gonna turn its nose up at a battleship brawl in Losec. Like, regardless of what outnumbered, you should. I'm not gonna. I can't bother to go back and find battle reports. But look at some of the ones recently where it's like 60 versus 370, and some of them we win, some of them we lose. But we like doing that kind of stuff. I mean, you don't join Snuff that. Like, I know everyone says the big blob of Losec and stuff, but. You don't join Snuff to be on the big. It's kind of like being the underdog in most fights.
I get what you're saying. From your perspective, that makes total sense. But do you get my perspective? If I travel a heavy doctrine and I'm stuck there for 3 hours straight, like the first 2 timers, then an hour, then the next 2 timers, like 3 hours and nobody shows, and then I have to travel back, you see the problem with that, right?
Give it a try. I would feel pretty confident in promising something fun would happen for both of us. I mean...
Yeah, Bring battleships to rack us whenever the fuck these timers are.
Just bring 100 battleships and I'll fight you. Yeah, but fucking, that's exactly what I'm saying though. With fucking dreads, so I need dreads too. Right? I need to outnumber you guys with dreads, because like obviously that's all you do.
What's the point in having 30,000 people? Well, I know 30,000 people, but like, how many people does it have?
So that's another thing. Whenever you talk about like an alliance's size, you have to talk about the fleet size, right? Like, what fleet size can people form? Like, yeah, on paper, whatever. I don't even know. Like, on paper, we probably have like 4,000 or some shit.
You can do 200 and something geekies. How many of those people have a dreadnought? I don't know. Do you have requirements to have a dreadnought, or is it kind of just encouraged?
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure we can form 100 dreads if we wanted to. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, but
so I said, bring it.
Yeah. At the same time, though, right? So let's be realistic. Like, I'm gonna be like 100% honest. You guys have like, that's all you do, right? Is like dread bombs and like low six stuff. So you guys that's all you focus on. So you're really good at that, right?
We also feed Lokis in Fountain.
No, Vertiso feeds Lokis in Fountain. Don't like lump us in with them.
But what I'm trying to say is, so that's all you do. So you guys sit there in like super fucking duper armor battleships with slaves, and even your dreads are probably slaved, I would imagine. And then I have to form like a dread bomb or like a dread group within it that has, like, I'm forced to outnumber you, right? I'm forced to outnumber you. Isn't that correct? Like, I cannot engage you with the same numbers because...
Yeah, but we're used to that. I don't think we've had we don't think we've had an equal number fight since the first time we're in.
What I'm trying to say is, no matter what I do, if I lose, I'm gonna look like an idiot because I outnumbered and I still lost, right? And that's just the nature of doom. If I win, you had to outnumber. You know what I mean? That's the whole take on this thing. Like, it's like, where do you actually win? Like, it's quite tough. You see how hard it can be to actually get a good fight, and then also like everyone being happy with it. I don't see that necessarily happening. If we win the fight, we would have to outnumber you guys. Then everyone's like, oh, look at it, right?
I don't think anyone's ever going to have a problem with you outnumbering us. I think it's expected. But there is it's to a degree, right? Like,
I know.
Initiative fleet is one thing.
Well,
an initiative fleet and 3 Goonswarm fleets, then people are going to say, I mean, at the same time, though, like, people might say whatever, but you shouldn't give a damn what people say Like, who gives a fuck what Mr.
No. I'm not.
1, 2, 3,
I'm not
4.
necessarily even saying that's the case, but you see, but in general, like overall in Eve, that's always that people will always care about what other people say. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's always going to be a thing. Like on average, it doesn't promote the good fights for you guys. If you know what I mean? That situation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't promote like other groups, not even us, other groups to go and engage you guys if like in the end it doesn't feel like a real win because you had to outnumber them because you simply don't have you don't have the tools ready. And we're doing so many other things like Walmart stuff, be it Walmart stuff or like any other like hunting stuff or whatever, right? That we don't have like a slave dread alts ready to roll at all times and all that stuff. So
I mean,
you know what I
there's also a
mean?
massive difference in, say, like, mentality, because like for us, we could go to a timer. I mean, recently, right? We reinforced someone's Fortizar to get them to fight us. They gave us a good fight. Like, they kind of fed. They didn't do a very good job, but we got a fight out of it. And we just left and let the Fortizar repair. Like, I don't really like the group, but we still, like, personally, but like we still, Tao said, like, we're going to let the Fortizar repair because they gave us a good fight. That's our mentality. That's how we kind of like see the game. Whereas the big blocks in nullsec, there's much more of a focus on, they don't really care what happens as long as the set objective is achieved, right? Like, defend this, destroy this. They don't care if they don't get a fight. Everyone gets a pap or whatever.
I don't agree, right? I know for a fact, like a lot of times we warp in, like for example, that big brawl in X70, right? Literally, I even have the recording, I believe. Bliss saying on comms, should we, so we've got 50 dreads, should we drop them? And I said, like, not gonna lie, that's 50 dead dreads. But, might as well. And then, like, you might know Blurkus. Blurkus always says fucking yes, right? No matter what, like, he doesn't even think about it. He just says yes. And that fight only kicked off because, like, why the fuck not, right? So, and it's 2 null blocks. I think that was probably similar from the Horde perspective. It's like, what, 1 pos? Yes, people on Reddit probably say, like, oh, look, poses are just, like, way better fight generators. I don't think so. Like, that pos had no value whatsoever. Like, it wasn't about the pos. It was just more about the fight and,
I definitely don't agree with the fact that, like, poses are better fight generators. No. Like, people see him as see him through rose-tinted sunglasses of the old days.
Yeah, and I like I said earlier, like, if you have a shit ton of people in fleet, you want to entertain them. Like, everyone wants to have good fights. It's just normal in every block ever. Right?
From your point of view, if you're calling the decision to drop dreads, like, the main concern is, or from my point of view, is this worth it? And then that's slightly counterbalanced by, is it going to be fun for everyone? Because there's no point in having a load of dreads if you don't use them. Like, Brooks was the one that spotted it, but do you remember the
Titans, yeah.
Yeah, the Siberian squad move up that got caught on a bait Fortizar.
We jumped into that. We jumped in knowing we were going to lose 60 bill worth of dreads, but we were going to get 2 Titan kills.
Yeah, but like,
and like the fun, like.
But so.
We had also.
But that's not a good example for. But that's not a good example for jumping in for the fun. You know what I mean? Because let's say you kind of know you're gonna get at least 1 Titan, and then you win ISK-wise already. You know what I mean? Like the risk in that kind of scenario is fairly low, wouldn't you agree? The second you jump with 60 Titans on a Titan, 60.
We knew you guys were all in range and probably inclined to help them. So it was kind of like knowing we were all going to probably die. I think we all did die, except for a few. But,
I know. I remember that one. I forgot what exactly happened with you and Shines in that convo. There was some, weirdo stuff happening.
I asked him if he was interested in killing some Titans and Supers, and I think I don't really keep up to date on who's blue with who, because, to be honest, you could spend the whole day trying to work out who's blue with who on a day-to-day basis. So I just assumed that With Shines, you would have
I
said,
remember what happened. So that's what happened. You asked him, hey, Siberian Squad is gonna move Super Titans, we can't tackle them. You wanna kill them. And then Shines said, Shines asked you, like, how are you gonna kill them? Because he thought, okay, Snuff, Trigger, like, you guys are, or Vertiso, those are our friends. So if they wanna drop dreads, we're gonna tell them don't. But you never said that. You said, we can only tackle. You have to kill, and that was the green light. Yeah, but that was the green light for Shines.
That was my paranoia thinking. I do trust.
If only you would have said it, then you would have said. But
well, we still would have done it. That's the thing, because I know you guys had to mid, and we would have had time to kill 1 or 2 Titans before we got dunked. So
yeah,
especially at that stage in Trigger where everyone was quite. I think that was just after Kendall had quit. So from my point of view, I was wanting to give people something to enjoy and be positive about and have fun.
Yeah, it was like close to when USTZ left, wasn't it? I think it was just before or just after USTZ had left, and like we weren't really doing a great deal.
Yeah, it was
somewhere around there.
Like people, it was just to give people something to enjoy, and like 2 Titan kills are 2 Titan kills. We could have had a bet. I think if we had a bet in Signer, we probably would have killed 4 or 5 Titans. But
and if Init didn't show up.
And yeah, if Init didn't do
it. Well, the thing is, we had them light blue. Yeah. You know what? Actually, Hanzo, I actually have him on next week. Like, he couldn't make this week. And then we said, okay, let's do it next week. So Hanzo Viper is going to be on next week. I actually haven't talked to him in ages. I don't even know what they're doing.
When the first time we were in Snuff, when we deployed to Declan to fight them, fighting Hanzo was a lot of fun. He was always willing to take a fight, and if I remember right, Sword Dragon was always reluctant to take a fight. So you'd find yourself fighting a Hanzo Viper fleet and a Sword Dragon fleet, and then Sword Dragon would take his fleet and leave halfway through the fight and leave Hanzo to die. And I felt kind of bad for him, but it was a lot of fun.
I've never experienced that part, to be quite honest. I mean, there's a lot of stuff being said about Sword Dragon and stuff, you know, and there's like some old history. I think some of that history is so old, I think that shouldn't even count anymore. I don't want to, you know, he's in it now, and like obviously I don't want to.
Is he renting or is he actually in it? Because the last I checked, he was in it Mercenaries.
Yeah, mercenary. Like, we don't. So Mercenaries is like, some call it a feeder alliance. That's not necessarily how we see it. Right? It's like the proving ground, really, right?
Oh, okay.
The only difference is you don't have any obligations, basically. So when you move in, you don't get like you're
not like required to have like capitals and stuff.
Yeah, you don't. There's no requirements of you. Like, I forgot what's actually one of the things. For example, when it comes to jobs like maintaining SOF, right? Let's say sometimes we split stuff up and say you guys have to take care of the ADMs here or this and this. Then IM is going to be left out of that, right? So it's probably the easier gig in a family.
It's much easier being an initiative mercenaries. I much prefer it.
But but the idea is that corps that join, like, that's where they can, you know, where you can see if they fit in, you know. I'm not sure. It's an old school concept, to be quite honest. I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of this concept overall, but it kind of worked out for us so far. So, huh?
You guys are the last ones doing that, aren't you?
I don't know. Yeah, it might be. Yeah, it's an old school concept. You know what? I think you could make an argument, like, really good corps don't like that. You know what I mean? Like, let's say like a really old strong corp from, let's just say PL wants to join. Right? They want to switch and they want to join. They wouldn't be fans of that, right? Their egos would be in the way, and I would totally get it too, right? If you have been in the game for like ages, and then it feels like a step down, it's probably not a good thing. So it might just be in the way of recruitment. I don't know.
There's also a trust issue, right? Like, I would imagine, right? You're not going to take, say, a corp wanted to join from PL. Maybe mercenaries is a good place for them to sit and not stew while you get to know them a bit, because taking a whole corporate PL in would be probably a bit weird.
Well, wasn't Adversity PL before they joined Snuff?
Adversity are their own thing. I don't think they associate with anyone. They're a bunch of degenerates.
But yeah, I mean, there's arguments for and against it. I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing. It's not like, I'm not too concerned. You know what? I think though it might be a good test for like egos too. Like if people are willing to say, okay, we're gonna work ourselves up. It's the same with FCs that join. You know, like big FC. Like for example, a Sword Dragon. Like he could just say like, oh, I'm a big deal. I'm a CSM and coalition leader, and like I'm not gonna start at like the recruit, like FC recruit, or as roaming FC or any of that, like, you know. But there's nothing of that. Like at least so far, nobody has ever like done that kind of stuff. So I feel like it might just be a good test too, right? But I don't know. Might just filter out some people that wouldn't fit anyway.
I think it's definitely a way. I think it's definitely a way to like check egos as well. Is like especially big names. Like if you were to have Villy join, like you wouldn't want Villy to like instantly start leading like main fleets.
You wouldn't want Villy in your alliance force.
Well, true, yeah.
It's human garbage. That's me. That was a bit much. Well, probably not, but
I don't know. I think if Hired originally come on like he was supposed to, then he would say the same thing.
Yeah, you know what? Hyde told me he's missing the meta show with what's his name, DBRB, because like he could just spurt away. I'm like, you can do it here too.
There's someone else that does it now. Shines and Matani do it now, don't they?
Brisk and Matani, yeah.
Oh, did I say Shines? Sorry.
Yeah, you said Shines.
I've just got them on my mind, you see.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a little bit like, you know what? It's a little bit more serious, but at the same time, it's not like they're not trying to be serious necessarily. But I guess they're both like wearing suits and shit. I guess it was just maybe I don't know what the reasons were for Bo to leave there. But yeah, you know what? Board is on my list too. Like I need to get Sir Board on at some point. Like he's a character.
He was streaming before while the fleets were on the way to Rakapass, and he managed to feed his malediction to some jackdaws, which was quite entertaining. I don't know what he was doing, but
yeah, a Board is a good one. All right,
an interesting character.
So I have like 3 or 4 things on the list. Let's see. Oh, we actually talked about that part a little bit. Like, how many problems do you think an EVA actually caused by player behavior rather than the game mechanics itself? You know, the forming of blocks and stuff. That's what I had in mind. But maybe you've got like something else on your mind.
I don't know. I'd say like at least 90% of the issues in EVA because of players' mentality.
Like the fact that, I mean, the way you were saying, you don't want to bring a larger than what we have battleship fleet because you it's a lose-lose, right? You either
like that's not necessarily what I said.
I don't mean you. I'm talking about the fact that people what people say and how people act and how people would react to that. I think is a big deterrent for a lot of people. Like I second guess a lot. If I'm trying to kill something, I'll second guess everything because I don't want to feed everything for no kill. So maybe, I mean, that's on me. That's my problem. But I think most of the issues in the game are players' perceptions of ourselves and each other.
But like, so when we talk about it, we also have to clarify. So, like, the player behavior to a degree. You know what human nature is. Like, you kind of can predict people's behavior to a degree. Right? You can't know everything, but kind of predict it, I would say at least. So isn't it the game mechanics' job to play around that behavior? You know what I mean? That's
Always
basically
say
what it
that
is,
You would
right?
in
have
the
to step in.
sandbox. Well, okay, so on one hand, CCP said recently they want to give people like test and goons a reason to fight, but people are very fond of saying it's a sandbox game, and people are given the tools to do what they want to do with it. And it's just a case that a lot of people choose not to do anything interesting with it. Think of what percentage of the game of people are happy just to sit and mine about or sit in a haven. Like it's probably a weirdly high percentage.
Yeah, but we need those people, though. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I know that you can't have ships without people that mining the ore and stuff, but it is a disproportionate amount of people, I think, that are way more invested in. Like, if you think about, okay, so for a pre-pinged Imperium op, I know I'm going to say only, but how many people were just in Rakapass? It was 700 people, right? Probably about 600 of them, 650 were Imperium. Now, that's a lot of people, don't get me wrong. But if you think about that as a percentage of how many people are in the alliance, and how many people were just sat mining and ratting in Delve during that fleet, I think it would be 2, 3, 4 times as many people. No, I'm not saying I want more people to come on goon fleets. I'm just saying it is the people that are interested in fighting is a much smaller percentage than anything else in the game, and that's a mindset that's not going to change. People aren't going to suddenly want
I'm
to
not
stop
sure. So I'm not sure about that. So I think like people in like nullsec mining, just because you're out in a rock and mining in Delph or whatever, doesn't mean that's all you do. Right? Most people, that's just one thing they do. And I think the healthy way to do that kind of, it's like that's the way you finance the PvP, right? That's how it should be. In my like in a PvP alliance, like in it, for example, that's how I consider, like, if you only read, like, that's like, why even be here? Like, it's probably easier in goons anyway. So you know,
I don't know. I think the people that focus on PvP as well is like that. Like no one likes losing a ship. No one likes losing a dread. No one likes losing their battleship or whatever. And it, like people find that as like people get attached to their ships, or at least like some people. I don't really care, but and like the people that have that mentality are generally the people that you like are more risk averse in what they do, are more like would rather have a fatter wallet than like lose their ships. Whereas like other people that don't care about ship losses and don't care about their killboard stats, you'll generally find would engage a lot easier, like would more often take a fight that they may well lose, but they're doing it because that's what they enjoy.
Get rid of Zico for a month and see what happens in the game. I think you'll see massively positive changes.
So you argue it would be positive, but I believe a lot of people, also a lot of PvP people, they I don't want to say they play only for killboard stats.
Killboard, dude. I play to get juicy kill mails that I can share with friends and be like, look at what we did. This was fun. Like that's pretty much all I play the game for, like the social aspect and getting fun kills, right? But if it meant people would, I'd forego that happily. If it meant people would be more aggressive in the game without fear of being like a battle report meme on Zico, right? Because I mean, some of the ones recently, I would hate to be part of the 380-man group that got beaten by 60 people. That would piss me off to the point I wouldn't want to play Troll.
You know what? I'm sorry. Keep going.
I was just gonna say, and from my point of view, and like the people I play with, if you see like we just took 60 people and we beat 300 and something, here's the battle report. That's a super like a boost to your morale. To everyone wants to be more active, and it's something to celebrate. But you get a lot more of those kind of fights without Zico, I think.
So, like I've got an interesting thing that I thought about before, and I brought up before in different contexts, I think. So what do you think would happen if you would have the option to be anonymous in space? Meaning, if you hit that check mark in options, nobody can tell in local who you are. You're just shown as an unknown. That is, unless they kill you, and then they see on their kill mail who you are. But if you kill someone, it just says you were killed by a zealot. Unknown. Nobody knows who it was.
I think people like me and Vert would find a way to abuse that massively, as in like hiding in local and stuff like that. But hey, it could be a good idea.
But
I think
but
people
isn't
would
it-
just, anyone that's an unknown would just be flagged as red anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's not that it changes. Like, oh no, this is Vertiso saber. Like, then I dock my fucking nicks up. But if it's an unknown, like if it's an or the other way around, right? If it's only like this new saber, like it's the same. It's a saber, you know what I mean? It's still hostile. Everyone who is like unknown is still a hostile. It's like a neutral. So maybe would that change things a little bit? And I see just in chat, wouldn't everybody not just go unknown? No, I don't believe so, because you don't want to get shot by your blues, right? Like bigger fleets and stuff like this. You don't want to be unknown. You want to tell people, hey, it's me, don't shoot me, right? Blues also cannot see who you are, right? Everything will get abused. Yeah, I mean, you can call it abused or you just call it used. You know, it's a like that's the reason behind the suggestion. Like it changes things, right? But so someone who would then claim and say, okay, I don't care about the killboard, would just be unknown. Yes, he will still record all the losses, but no kills whatsoever. And for him, it shouldn't matter, right?
I think like the way I see it is like people need to stop getting so attached to their wallet balance or their kill board. Is like people just need to be willing to die. Like I fed an 11 bill Sin to Von Hall. I don't really want to look at the amount I've lost on Z-Kill, but I did. Like I lost shit while I was having fun. Like I guess it is a sandbox so people can play the way they want to play and like they can do what they want to do. It's fair enough. They enjoy different parts of the game than we do. So I think it's just like people get way too attached to this stuff, and then like when that gets threatened, they either like they'll dock up or like stop playing or get salty or whatever, and it's just like they're just two different people, but you lumped us all into the same game, so then there's a like clash of egos or the way people play it. I don't know. I think it is more down to like player mentality than anything.
But that's what I said earlier, right? The mechanics have to play around the like mentality and like behavior and stuff like this. Like you have to like, it's still CCP's job to create mechanics that, you know, kind of use the player behavior in a way.
Yeah, right? But I wonder how people would view CCP stepping in and like doing something in a way that forces players to do things a certain way. Like people have, at least in like the people I've played with, have always been very against that.
Well, the people that it affects negatively will cry, saying CCP shouldn't influence my sandbox, and the people who it influences positively will say, this is great, I love it. Same as every change that CCP does. Like, people, it's against human nature, right, to argue against your own self-interest. So people, for the most part, and when they're talking about balance, are going to want the thing that makes their gameplay more fun, more easy, more enjoyable.
You know, that's the thing also.
It's a pessimistic attitude to have, but that's just how I think that's how people are.
Yeah, so there's always going to be that argument also with the CSM elections coming up soon and stuff like this, that people say like, oh yeah, there's like, I don't know, 7 goons on the, I don't even know how many, like 3 or so. And then they only going to push for 06 stuff. I do not think so, right? So I talked to a lot of the CSMs and stuff like this. And I would argue that every single CSM I talk to always try to be like direct, be honest about it, and then better the game, right? And like I haven't talked to all of the CSM guys. I can just talk about the guys that I have talked to. If they always succeed with that, that's another question, right? They might just be biased and they might not even realize it. You know, that might be true, right? So, and their perspective is usually limited to their playstyle, so you can't even blame them too much. But then it's CCP's job to realize, okay, this guy is like He's only doing wormhole stuff. He doesn't know anything about null block stuff, or the other way around, doesn't matter. So they have to take that and then, compile the information basically, right? So they have to know, like, okay, this is not everything, right? This is one point of view, and then they have to. So that's why you should have a good, a diverse CSM would be nice. I'm not saying diverse CSM as like all the null blocks should have a CSM, but like have some high sec guy, have a low sec guy, have a small gain guy, have maybe 2 small gain guys. That would be beautiful, huh? Have a wormhole guy, right? So that's, and I think all the CSM guys, they're not pushing for the changes necessarily just good for their playstyle, but that's the only thing they can talk about, right? So it would be weird. Like, imagine Exuki, who's the wormhole guy at the moment, right? And he might just get reelected, who we'll see. And then he pushes for low sec changes. That would be weird as fuck, wouldn't it? Like, wouldn't you be like a little bit upset if suddenly the wormhole guy is talking about low sec? So naturally, he's gonna talk about wormhole space, which he should be. And then yeah, his playstyle should benefit because he's in wormhole space. So, that's at least how I see it.
I think the issue I've always found it not really an issue with the CSM is like why I didn't vote while I was in frat. We got pinged of like what people we should vote for in what list, and I was just like, this is not how this should work. So, and I think that's a big issue. And frat's not the only alliance that does that. I'm pretty sure all of them do it.
Well, yeah.
And it's kind of like stuff like that. You're basically just pushing people into a place where you want them to be. Whereas, like, I think if it was randomly selected or if it was like a voting basis, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it'd be a little more even. Like you said, like you'd get a high set guy, a low set guy, a small gang guy, a null set guy, a wormhole guy.
Yeah, I think people people have to think for themselves, but I think the whole election process is taking it's too many candidates, right? So if you're a typical nullsec player, let's just say you read a little bit, maybe you mine and rock or whatever, that's how you do your money part, and then you join fleets, sometimes as an F1 drone, sometimes you go out with your boys with a small gang and stuff like this, right? Nothing crazy. You're not like the crazy Vertiso with 35 alts and stuff like this, right? Just a typical player in nullsec. Would you then say CSM elections are coming up, let me read every single candidate? That's not what you're doing. That's not what you're doing. So now the guy whose fleets you're joining, that might just be me or like maybe your fleets, that guy you trust him 100%. And this guy is convinced those 3 guys on the ballot, the top 3, those are the best for the CSM. And he tells you, hey, if you want to vote these 3, they're great. Then guess what? A lot of those guys will say, yeah, I trust this dude. I trust his judgment. I quickly check those 3 guys. Yeah, I don't have anything against it. Seems fair. So they vote for these 3. That's exactly what's happening, right? And you can be like, it's kind of sad, but at the same time, it's very understandable, right? There's not an evil null block monopoly going on necessarily, right?
Yeah.
It kind of feels like it, and I totally agree that it needs to be more diverse. But it's not like anyone thinks like, oh yeah, let's destroy this game by voting like just our guys on. Or like, let's show them how fucking awesome we are by getting the most CSM dudes elected. No, they think those are the best guys for the job. Right? And that's why they push for it.
But is that because they're the only guys they know?
Yeah,
like so.
Possibly.
Say all the init guys are voting for the init candidate or whatever, but they've never been FC'd by, say, like one of the Chinese FCs.
Yeah, 100%.
But then,
100%,
like,
I think.
Is there a way to change that? Is there a way to like get apart from just going and reading what they post on Reddit or whatever?
I mean, so we did change that last year. I'm not sure if you followed last year, but last year we actually voted for Exuki, who is a wormhole guy, and we didn't know at all. So, we voted for Stitch, Caneland, and Exuki. But Stitch didn't do like the greatest job of promoting, I think. So he didn't get any extra numbers on top of our numbers, and it was just not enough. He just barely didn't make it. So all the numbers, like all our voters, then dropped down to Exuki. So he got elected. So it was the first time in ages that there was a wormhole candidate on. But there was a unique case, like, if you remember, Brisk didn't run the last time for like certain reasons. And
the whole Moloch incident.
yeah, so we didn't have a candidate from minutes. So we decided, hey, wouldn't it be cool? Just vote the smaller guys on, and that's what we did. And
Yeah.
that will be a rare case. And like this year, it's gonna get like it's complicated for us. Like usually, I talk to Brisk, and we like, what can we do? Like, who is like the best candidate? And like, and usually Brisk does that thing, and like I'm kind of involved. But this year, like, what am I supposed to do? Now Ixuki is in it too. So Brisk is running again. So we've got two solid candidates, which I both believe are good on the CSM. But at the same time, I wanted to make it like a kind of tradition to say, okay, but in it, have the vote power to vote like on that small game guy. But now two of my friends, I want to say, that are really good on the CSM, and they're running too. Like, what am I supposed to do, right?
CSM at this point should just be people that apply to it and are considered by CCP for their own merits. I think voting is, I just think it's useless. In EVE Online, having people having vote per account is another really stupid thing. It just doesn't work in EVE Online to have a democratic election for. I don't know. I personally think the whole thing is way outdated and almost redundant at this point, and it, for the most part, is making people feel self-important. I'm not saying that about anyone in particular, but I just think there's a few people on there that are
No, you might be
so
right.
out of the loop of what actually happens in the game outside of their little bubble that they can't have an objective or informed opinion on most of the game, and no one really can. I don't think anyone really can have an informed opinion on the entirety of the game, which
Correct.
that's probably why they have so many people. But the whole point of having that many people would to be have a diverse range of opinions and viewpoints. But we've gone a long way from that being the case. I don't even know if it ever was the case. But it's like you said, it's dominated by mainly one group, and that one group. I mean, you got Kazuki, whatever his name is from Wormholes, but the Imperium members of the CSM have a very narrow viewpoint of the game, and having that many people
The thing,
with
yeah.
the same viewpoint is kind of redundant.
So I would argue, like, like going through the list of the CSM guys, they are fairly different from each other, right? So you have Aerith, who is the industry guy, and I believe that's probably the one you were talking about when you said, like, when he's talking about stuff that he's not an expert in, right? I would argue that the same thing. So
everything about the topics he knows about.
Exactly.
I wouldn't argue.
Yeah.
I'm sure that some of the other Goon CSMs bring something to the table, but I feel I would even rather see more high sec people represented, to be honest. There's no real low sec representation, but I feel like low sec getting changes at this point is just a meme.
I mean, you also have candidates. So, for example, for Brisk, like he's that guy who then tries to talk to other people and see like how can he like literally represent stuff, right? And he fucking enjoys that. And I appreciate that because like obviously I talk to Brisk all the time, and like when he needs some knowledge about stuff, he can just ask. At the same time, you need someone to be an expert, like, or you need at least one expert on like on a matter at the table when it comes up in a meeting, and you get surprised. Like you don't have the time to go back and ask someone and do all that stuff, right? But yeah.
Brisk is, am I right in thinking he's a career lobbyist, right? That's what he does?
Yeah, I think so.
He's probably ideally suited for the role of being on the CSM. And
yeah, but at the same time, yeah, I think he is very well suited for it. But at the same time, you don't want 10 Brisks, you know? It's enough if you have that one. If you have one Brisk on there, then have 9, so like experts on like what do they call it? If you're like an expert on one particular thing, right? And then I think that would be a good thing. And then as diverse as you can, and as diverse of a CSM as you can, right?
And it just lacks that diversity. I mean, it wouldn't. I mean, it's not. I guess it's not a big deal because, as my understanding is, the CSM is more. It's not really a sounding board. It's just or is they're not there to make suggestions. They're just there to give initial feedback before it's released to the player base in general.
So,
but they, like I said, that they're still giving a very narrow, feedback based on their very narrow point of view of the game.
yep.
Yeah.
I mean, so how could CCP change that? It's not easy, right? Like, I think maybe one way would be that every candidate has to pick maybe an area. You know what I mean? So you have to apply for the CSM and I can be, let's say you can, out of like 20 different things, you can pick 3 or so. Like, let's say you're like a nullsec industry guy, or you're like a high-sec mission running guy or whatever, right? And then you can only have so many from each group or so. I don't know.
Well, I mean, that's been suggested, but the response you always see is the typical board will just put people in different groups and have them run anyway.
Yeah,
so
that's
when
true.
You've got a massive coalition, that doesn't work. But I just think get rid of it, get rid of the election process, and just have people apply to CCP, and CCP take the time to go through it and think this guy has a wide background, like he's explained himself well, and he seems to know what he's talking about. This card be of use.
Yeah.
Maybe they should like make roles, like say like have a wormhole guy, and then they suggest people to that role. So say like the leader of Hard Knocks or the leader of Laserhawks, and say like pick one of these guys that you want to represent wormholes. So have like nullsec, lowsec, highsec, whatever, and then they suggest people that they think would be a good fit. Because obviously, like the player base is just going to vote people into that role that they think are going to benefit them. And and that's where people seem to think that there's this like unmixed sort of agenda with the nullsec CSM. I don't read the notes, I don't listen to them or whatever, so I don't really know. But I think if there was a structure of one person has to do this certain job, and we think this person is best for it, what do you think, kind of thing?
Yeah, you might be right.
The stagnation in the CSM is a perfect mirror for the stagnation in the game. It's so perfect. It's kind of funny.
So
like it's stale. It's completely stale, and a lot of the game is equally stale, sadly.
Yeah, I mean that has also to do with the number of targets around people right now, right? Like everything, like not only have we a little bit, like I think in 2019 was probably, I don't want to see the worst year in EVE. I mean, maybe it was actually. So numbers suffered a little bit in 2019, 100%. But not only that, I think everything got a little bit more umbrella-ish, you know? So people are not as spread out anymore. They're a little bit more under umbrellas now. And that also means there's, like, for us, for example, like, we have to travel quite far to get to our first hostiles. I mean, now that you guys deploy to NPC Fountain or whatever, right? That might just be closer, but in general, like, we have to get quite far to even start a conflict, right?
Well, imagine being in. All right, you're a new guy. You join either. I'll try and balance it for the sake of not being biased, but you join either Horde or you join either Goon Swarm, right? Either one of those two, just as an example. And you join the game with a desire to go and blow stuff up, and you're told, well, you got to take, even with jump bridges, you're going to take about 30 jumps to get to anything real. I mean, if you're in Panfam, you've got the whole of Drone Lands, a whole of a locked off area of the game where everyone is blue. And if you're in Goon Swarm, well, you can go through Delve, you can go to Iridia, which there's no one really there. You can go up to Fountain, there's blue.
Yeah. Catch would be the first, like roaming wise, like Catch is quite nice, right? But even then, you have like several jump bridges and then 12 jumps to even get to Catch, really.
And that's when your roam starts.
Yeah. Or your filament, which is fucking awesome, right?
Filaments are good, but I mean, if you're talking about being blue to a high percentage of the map, it's not. Imagine filamenting and landing in. You undock in.
It happened to me a couple of times.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I filamented once and landed in the next system over from the staging.
It just happens.
So, but they're a good feature. But they seem like a solution to a problem, or like a band-aid fix to a problem that shouldn't exist. I like the idea of them. The concept's really cool, but
I think they're great.
You shouldn't need that to find hostiles.
Yeah, you know what? In the perfect world, we would have 10 times the numbers of players, and then you wouldn't need filaments. You would be too busy, right? We wouldn't even find the time to sit down and talk right now because everyone would be busy shooting each other. But you know what? We might just get there.
And all of those players were, if the proportion of where people were in the game remained the same, it would still be the same problem. The core thing needs to be there needs to be a reason to fight. There needs to be a reason for goons and tests to want to fight, other than I hate it. Like, one thing that just makes me sad is seeing arranged fights. Like the one, I think there was one between.
I've never done those.
Well, there was one between Init and Goons and Fountain the other day or something.
No. That was actually Bjorn, who was in stream earlier. Bjorn was traveling through Fountain, and then one of our guys formed a Mauler fleet. And then Goons were already forming for Bjorn too. So it happened that the Maulers engaged Bjorn, and then they won the fight, and then Goons showed up, and then there was 2 fleets who were willing to fight. And then they fought each other. And that was it then. So, but that's a good example of, like, it just takes that one guy, in this case Bjorn, to take out a fleet and just do it, right? And I would just like to see that more.
Could do with a lot more Bjorns.
Yeah. But guys, actually we're always aiming for 2 hours, and I actually thought I had to.
You had to go early.
Yeah, I had to go early, but that actually didn't happen, so it's all good. But I would say, like, one last question. Maybe the guys in on Twitch chat, if you have a really good question, put it in chat. But other than that, I would just ask, like, in general, because we were just talking about it, in general, what is your feeling about the recent changes? Like, if you give it a rating, let's say, just the changes that were done in this year, like, what's your feeling on a rating to 10? What do you say?
I think, like, especially the super changes and the structure changes to, like, that abandonment phase and stuff is definitely a step in, like, the right direction for, like, what needs to happen to stop, like, structure spam. And like, people always complained about supers being able to kill frigate fleets, which they could. So I guess it's a step in the right direction, but then, like, it's also messing with the balance of the game, especially changes to, like, resistance, stuff like that. Like, we can't now, like, the way Vert used to hunt using a Marshal in Delve is almost impossible. You can't chase someone through their DED because you're not fit for it. You're fit to kill them. And then 20% resist nerf on top of that, it makes it even harder. So
there's a lot of
it was a big meta shake-up.
I think it's for the best. I
Yeah,
mean, it's kind of weird how I was running the numbers with 2 T2 gun Naglfars and 2 Newton carriers. You can kill a max tank tail with links in 1 minute 50 seconds, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, we killed a Nyx the other day that was fully passive with amulets, and I think it took 6 dreads 2.5 minutes to kill it with a couple blops on it. I look forward to the next time someone moves a large number of Titans. Next time there's a big war, I'm very excited to see what happens.
It's totally not going to be the BHD JFFA gate, okay?
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to having a blob of Titans set somewhere. I think it's going to be. I think the next group to use a big blob of Titans somewhere, like in a big war or whatever, is going to
have a hard time. Yeah, possibly. Yeah. So give it a rating, guys. What do you think? Just recently, like, feeling that also, like, the direction it's going. What do you guys think?
Going in the right direction, 100%.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's 10 out of 10, or what?
Right? I give it an 8 out of 10. Like, really,
yeah, 7,
for
8.
me, it's 8 out of 10, and it's something I really like for the game in general, balance-wise. I'm not sure. I think the Citadel's a great idea. I mean, I've already got a bunch of people training Leshaks ready to go and pillage Highsec for some easy money as soon as the changes come in. But
I think it's not going far enough, though. But
in the time that I've played the game, CCP do seem to take quite a while to iterate on changes into, like, and obviously recently they've been quite rapid fire with them, so hopefully that continues. But if you think about So they nerfed super EHP, they nerfed resists, and they increased T2 gun damage. So yeah, I just can't wait to see the first time since these changes that a big old blob of Titans gets the bomb.
Yeah.
Because I think
it's gonna happen.
I think it's gonna be. I think people are gonna be surprised at how quickly things die.
Yeah, I agree. And we have to be careful with the evil Vertiso looking at our Titans.
Look at every Titan. If someone has a Titan, I want to eat it. I get hungry. I get Titan munchies.
Yeah, you know what? That reminds me of that old video of Shines with his Moloch, and he baited he baited 100 jets with a Moloch.
Yeah,
he's not gonna do that again.
Probably my favorite E video.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know why, because he knew he was getting dropped, but it's kind of like the amount of dreads that appear. He must have thought, shit.
You know what? Someone just link it in thingy. I'm just gonna watch it afterwards. Someone link it in chat.
I was talking to him a while ago about, because he said he bought the Moloch BPC from that.
Actually, just today. So yeah, the Moloch is built. Yeah, there's a new Moloch.
Oh no! I mean, cool.
But it's so it was that NPCs or TO in Fountain that we did, and it was technically it was my fleet doing it. So I do have a little bit of a say where the money goes, and he can't really afford a Moloch. We kind of offered to him to have it for cheap, so he could afford it, but he denied and said all right, I can't just that's basically stealing money from the Alliance. That's how he said it. I'm well, I disagree, but so we're selling that Moloch. We just can't sell it outside the Alliance. So
after last time.
Yeah, well, that was inside the Alliance. Technically, we didn't know. Maybe he'd know. I don't know, but yeah, it was inside the Alliance. That's sale, I believe.
Komodos and Molochs, I think, are probably going to be worth a lot less in the future because I wouldn't.
The risk is a little higher.
They're not very tanky anymore. I mean, they're tanky, right? Don't get me wrong.
They're still the tankiest things in the game, but it's not tanky enough. Yeah.
Well, was it 30% EHP nerf, right, on basic EHP of supers from the plates? So you've got a 30% EHP nerf, a 20% resist nerf, 20% more incoming damage, and your faxes are going to be unable to rep you after the first 5 reps. And if they've got cap newts on them, they ain't going to be repping you. They're probably going to die anyway.
You're not going to jump in 5 faxes. Right, you're going to jump in a shit ton of faxes. You're not going to cap out all these faxes.
Get about 5 reps before they're either dead or they're out of cap and can't cap up anymore.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? But I don't think anyone wants to bait 100 jets with a Moloch anymore. Would be.
I think they'd be.
You can tell Shines. You can give it a try. We'll test the theory.
Yeah, I believe you.
We'll stop shooting at structure. He just needs to, trust us. It's a trustful exercise.
All right, then I would say thanks you guys for showing up. I'm very much appreciated and enjoyed the talk.
You should get Joe Custer on here at some point.
I don't know.
You probably get your channel banned pretty quickly.
No.
Yeah, I saw him timed out earlier. The Randa had to step in and ban him, or not ban him, but time out. I don't know what he said.
See, the censorship's already beginning.
Well, yeah, this channel is censored. If you put in racist, sexist kind of bullshit, what else? What do you expect? I don't know what it was though, so it was probably not as bad.
Of anyone from Adversity being any form of sexist.
I'm just in general, right? Whatever.
Yeah, there are a bunch of social justice warriors.
All right, guys, thanks a lot, and then also, guys, thanks for the subs. And I don't know what was going on with the donations and stuff, and there was weird gifs playing and stuff that kind of distracted me. I'm like, what the fuck is even happening? I didn't even realize what was happening there. I guess I have to look into that. Thanks a lot for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed it just as much. And then see you guys on the next one next week. Probably Hanzo Viper from Sip Squad. Alrighty. See you guys around.
Monday. I'm sure we'll see you in 2 days when the Raqqa Forts come out.
Maybe, yeah. Is it Sunday? Yeah. All right. We'll see you then.
Yeah,
I
see you
might
later,
just
mate.
stream it. I might just stream it and just make a good video. I have some good footage from the what was it, X70 fight, but there's a lot of footage is a little choppy and laggy.
Yeah.
So it's not it wasn't enough for a video. I tried. It was just not enough. All right.
See you later.
See you later.
Yep. See you guys. Yeah, Randa, do we have someone? Maybe Convic wants to suggest someone? Solo PvP. And Convict, where are you? You're not in fleet. We need those numbers. With like that one extra dev-powered Kiki we could have beaten Snuff yesterday. Aptis? Alright, let's host Aptis. Aptis is a funny dude actually. A much underrated streamer. You looking at things right now? Alright. Guys, let's raid Aptis. He's he's a funny dude. Right. I very much enjoy watching that guy. So you should check him out. So thanks again, guys. See you guys around.